Hello and welcome to Poker Night Live. I'm Kara Scott and with me is Nick Wealthall, and together we're going to take you through the next 4 hours of the poker-related world.
4 hours?
4 hours.
How lucky are they?
Oh, they're very lucky, and I think they might just know that.
I
would hope they do.
They're about to find out, God bless them.
That's right, because it's amateur night here on Poker Night Live. So if you are a beginner, or if you want to review the basics a bit, well then this is the perfect time to do it, because you can send in your questions, and Nick Wealthall is here to answer every single question that you've got. Poker-related, of course. Keep it poker-related.
Non-related, it's all good.
Well, generally. Generally poker.
I'm a broad Catholic church, Kara.
Really?
Yes. I've helped many people with all areas of their life.
This is good to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be getting lots of fascinating questions. Well, there's a couple of ways that you can get in touch with us here in the studio with these questions for Mr. Wealthall. The first one is by text, of course, on 62211.
That is the single largest amount of respect I've ever got on this show.
Well,
Mr. Wealthall.
I would... I hope you enjoyed it. It may not happen again.
Yeah.
poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is our email address. And check out the web as well, because we have a lovely website with lots of information about poker, www.pokernightlive.co.uk. And there they have it.
Couldn't be easier.
No, it couldn't be easier.
And we want you to get in touch, guys. That's why we're here. You
That's
decide
right.
what we talk about on the show, so don't hold back.
No,
That's
absolutely.
the key.
This is a live and interactive show, and that is the actual whole point of the show.
It is, and I think sometimes viewers are a little bit worried if they've got a basic question.
I agree.
And we do want your emails. Doesn't matter how basic, it doesn't matter if it's the first time you've come into contact with poker and you've always wanted to play. We want to know what you don't understand, what you don't get. Get the questions coming in, and we will help you out. Promise.
Absolutely promise. That's a lovely promise, straight from the heart. That
was from in there. You've spotted it, Kara.
I felt that. And we're going to be showing you lots of different kinds of games as well. So if you have questions about tournament poker, great. If you have questions about cash games, also that, and multi-table tournaments as well. In fact, shall we take a look around the tables?
Let's have a look.
Talk us through it.
Let's have a look. This is our multi-table tournament, which is something I ruddy love, Kara.
Do you?
Yes. I think the final tables of the multi-table tournament are very exciting.
I do as well.
Cool. So we're going to have a final table for you during the show, so stay tuned. We'll be dipping in and out of the multi-table tournament.
Yes.
Until we get down to the business, or bidness, as I believe is the
business.
Easiest way to say it. This is a 50-cent $1 cash game. Slightly less exciting, but still a tremendous amount of fun. This is a $5 single table tournament, which is about halfway through. Already lost 3 players there, 5 left. It's a very dramatic sound effect, is that?
I know.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Well, dramatic business. And this is a $10 single table tournament, which is near the start. We may begin the show with that. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Well, we got some of our good old favourite players on that table as well. So
all right.
I think that's probably a good place to start. That would be my take on
That'd
the matter.
Well, what you say goes.
I think it does.
Do people still call you Toast Rack?
Nobody ever actually has.
Although
I play under the name Toast Rack on some of the sites. Not very well, mind you, so...
Can you please address, for extra chances of getting your email read out, can you please address them to Toast Rack?
I like that. It's an anagram of Kara Scott. And the viewers picked the name for me, which I like.
Well, you put bits of bread in it.
Well, yes.
So it's all good.
It's all good. Let's go to a $10 game.
Oh, okie doke.
$10 tournament, in fact.
That's the end of the banter.
Just in case.
Straight down to business.
Down to business. Right, we got Nash and Nubis, Gan 241, Hoofy, or Hoof-Hearted, Earl, Miss Chippy, Uncle John, Shell, My Belle, and Scotty. And that's who we've got around this table. So some of our old favourites are there.
Delighted.
The blinds are at 20 and 40, so we're in the second stage of this game. Now this is a $10 tournament, so they give $10 in and then $1 for the rake. So it's actually an $11 buy-in.
Cool.
Yeah. How many chips does that buy you then?
It brings you 1,000 chips, Kara.
I see.
Do you know, I have contracted a cold.
Have you?
In the time since I said hello to you this evening.
I know, it is quite odd.
Yeah, it was fine all day and now I have a cold.
I know.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to apologise to our viewers.
It's funny though, because I lost my cold as soon as I met you tonight.
Well, there you go.
I think it was past.
I think this is the problem. I'm very fortunate, Karen, that I'm a very giving soul. And
yes.
I take up a lot of other people's woes, a lot of their troubles, put them on my own back because my shoulders are broad. But when it comes to illnesses, I mean...
Well, See, that makes me the giving one. I'm sharing with you,
Thank you.
the joy that was my cold.
Your beautiful dirty germs.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
nice.
But I no longer have to house them, so they needed a place to go.
Yes.
You gave them a
And
home.
they are all in my nose. Beautiful.
Which is great.
So do stay tuned for some very interesting nasal emittances during the show.
That's all right. Cass was blowing his nose and sneezing and whatnot on Wednesday.
Oh,
And he got lots of sympathy as well.
sick little lamb.
I know, and I think that's what you're doing, is going for a bit of sympathy.
Oh, no, I'm not unwell. I'm in fine fettle.
Hale and hearty.
I don't need your sympathy.
That sounded a bit,
No, I'm fine.
all right.
All right.
Okay.
Do we need to tell everyone how this works?
I think we might just do that. It is beginner's night, so let's start with the basics of tournament poker.
Okie dokie.
This is Texas Hold'em, of course.
Yes.
And it's no limit Texas Hold'em, which
Yes.
is a bit of a different variety than you might see out there on some of the sites. Some people play limit, or pot limit, as it's called. We play no limit.
Well, it's the most exciting brand of poker, Cara. That's why we
This is
show it
true.
on the telly. That's why it's most of the TV tournaments are no limit hold'em. Basically, a player can go from a hero to a zero in one hand,
Yep.
and vice versa. So everything can change very quickly, and that's why we show it. And what it means is that these players can bet any amount of their chips at any time they like.
I see.
So literally, your whole future. What job you get, who you marry, can be at stake on one turn of a card. It's pretty
Wow,
exciting,
That's a lot of pressure.
isn't it?
Well, Earl there is at the top of our leaderboard, and Nash Anubis is at the bottom.
But, I mean, well spotted, kind of thing.
Thanks for that.
You have a mind like a laser,
Like a steel trap.
isn't it? But yeah, that can all change very quickly.
Yes, it can,
Very
as you were
quickly.
saying.
So this is a tournament situation,
Right.
and it's a one-table tournament, so everyone involved in the tournament is on your telly right now. 8 brave adventurers have put up $10 to play, and that forms our prize pool, which is $80. First place will receive 50% of that, which is $40.
Right.
Second place gets $24, and third place $16. And the rest of our players will go home with nothing.
Right.
Well, I say nothing, they've had an experience.
Exactly. You can't say that's nothing.
And in this game, they've been on the telly,
Ooh, ah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because these are real players. That was the first in it of the night, by the way. For those
I'll be
of you,
counting.
For those of you scoring at home. These are real players, guys, playing on the internet. There is a slight delay so that they can't cheat. Obviously, as you can see, we see all of their cards. They will only be able to see the 2 cards in front of them.
That's right. And that is important, because if you can see everyone's cards, it's just not Texas Hold'em poker, I'm afraid.
No, it's naughty cheating. That's what it is.
Pretty much. So yeah, there is a slight delay so that we can see everyone's cards, but they can't. But obviously, some of these people may be watching. I imagine most of them will be. And listening to the commentary, maybe taking tips on their game from Nick Wealthall as well.
Crikey.
It's a scary
It's a lot of
thought.
responsibility, isn't it? And we'd love to hear from you if you're playing in the game. We like to hear from all of our viewers, but if you're playing on the TV tables, we're particularly interested to hear from you and your experience of the game and the hand you went out on or the hand you did well on, whatever you like. Text and email at will, guys. Now,
Right.
here we go. How to play
Exactly.
Texas
The
Hold'em.
basics of Texas Hold'em.
I'm actually getting more bunged up as we talk.
Oh,
I
no.
can only apologise to the many millions of you tuning in right now.
Oh. You're not allowed to go home early if that's what you're
No, I don't want to go home. I like it here.
It's warm, it's comfortable.
It's warm, it's comfortable. You know, you've brought in cherries, so we're ahead of the game, aren't we?
It's a little picnic.
We're in a little picnic. You wish you were here, don't you, guys and girls? Just not with my cold.
Oh.
I don't have a cold. I've just got a stuffed nose from somewhere.
Well, mine's gone, so I think you got it from me. But, anyways, back to the whole idea of Texas Hold'em poker.
The whole idea.
The whole idea.
Win cash. That's what we're trying to do. And the way we do it is by winning pots.
Right.
And that is consists of chips. It's all pretty self-explanatory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if you've never played.
Step it up a notch.
Okay, here we go. As you can see from your screens, the pot's indicated at the top of the screen there, so that last pot is 360 chips.
Right.
The guys' $10 that they've put in to play in this tournament has been converted into chips, so they have chips in front of them. They get 1,000 each to start with. Once those 1,000 are gone, that's it, they're out the tournament. Now, the way that the action is forced is by the blind bets. You see the blind level indicated at the top of the screen, 40 and 80, and that goes up every 10 hands, it doubles. And those are compulsory bets. They're involuntary bets.
Right.
They just come out. There's nothing you can do about it. And Miss Chippy and Uncle John have paid them this hand 40 and 80. And that's because they're to the left of the dealer button, held by Earl, that D there. And that moves around one space every time, so it's fair shares. Everyone gets to pay the blinds once.
Right.
And it moves around. And as I said, the purpose of those blind bets is to get the action going. That gives something in the middle, in the pot, to compete over. Without them, there'd be no point to the game. So they get things rolling, and we're going to lose our first player. Gan's going to run out of chips, and so he leaves. It's that simple, with nothing. Except our fond farewells.
Our fond farewells.
Fond farewells. And those blinds will keep going up and up and up and up. They'll double every 10 hands until we get a result, until one player has all of the chips.
Right.
So you can't just sit around and wait for the best hand. At some point or other, you have to take a risk. And that's why tournaments are exciting. And this tournament is particularly exciting because it will only last about 30, 35 minutes.
Right.
Which is why we put it on the telly.
And that's why people play it as well. If you've got a spare, say, half an hour or so, and you want to play a bit of poker, that's a nice way to do it. You play a bit of a tournament. Sometimes people can nip in and out of a cash game, but other people, I've heard Casper, one of the other commentators, refer to a tournament as having a narrative structure. So it's almost like a story. So a tournament does have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The blinds go up until people can't pay them anymore, and then we've only got the one left, and that's the winner.
So, you know,
like the hero of the story.
I just thought it was a bit of fun.
No. There's a narrative.
There's a narrative?
There's a narrative.
Wow. Well, look out for that.
We just have to figure out who's the hero of the story.
Yeah. One of these kids, I have no doubt.
I'm so sure. And a lot of these people are regular players as well. Take a look at Hoofy in the third seat there. As usual, always in that seat.
Yes. Yeah, he does insist on that. Uncle John I've seen play before. Scotty's played before. Nash Anubis has played before. And we've got Ace King versus a pair of jacks, which is a couple of strong starting hands. We'll go through the actual rules of the game in a second. We'll just watch this hand for a bit of flavour. Don't look at me like that. I'm going to do the rules.
I know. You're just
working up to it.
I can understand.
Just get this cherry out of the way and then we'll do the rules.
I shouldn't have brought a picnic.
I think you should.
Right.
Big bet.
Big bet from Nash Anubis. Uncle John's gone all in there. Doesn't quite realise that Ace King, while a nice starting hand, after that kind of flop, just doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm afraid he ran up against a big pair, and that's going to be the end of his little story, the end of his narrative. Not a particularly exciting or good narrative.
No, it's a short story.
Yeah, it's a bit like the one in some bad film. So I was trying to mention a bad film, and I've seen so many bad films lately, I couldn't pick from the massive bunch I had to choose from.
A multitude. Well, if this is like a story, if poker is a narrative, well then we've got some more information here. Pre-flop folds.
Yeah.
This might tell us a little bit more about our characters.
Yes, Cara.
What does it tell us?
Well, what it tells us is how often they like to play.
Right.
So the higher that number, the more of the time they're throwing away their hand based on their first two cards.
And that would make them a tight player.
That would make them a tight player. So Miss Chippy is playing very tight.
Okay. Now let's see how this relates to how many hands they win, because Miss Chippy was playing very tight, but only winning half of the hands that she's playing. Yeah.
But could still be doing okay. You don't have to win too many hands in a tournament situation.
Yeah.
That's interesting, but you have to bear in mind that if you win a big pot, you only need to win one or two big pots. So your hit rate is slightly less important than how many times you play.
Okay, so starting standards are very important, obviously. So
standards are important.
Well, starting standards are very important.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we'll
in
talk
all
about
areas
that
of
in a
life,
second.
but yes, all right. We'll talk about it in a second. I won't rush you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Got 4 hours to spin this out over, Cara. So.
Okay. Take your time.
What happens, Cara, can I ask you, as a TV
Yes.
professional?
Oh, yes.
What happens when I have to do a really massive sniff?
I think you can either turn your microphone off or put your hand over it. Turning it off is probably better, but just don't forget to turn it back on.
Do you don't think the viewers would like to hear it because it makes it real? No?
Well, maybe you could wait till we're back on camera. And then wipe your nose with the back of your hand as well.
My mum might be watching.
That's true. Well, my parents are watching.
Are they?
They are. They're watching from Canada.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Mr. and Mrs. Fletcher in Creston, BC. Hello. Hi, Mum and Dad.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Fletcher. welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure to take your daughter's cherries.
Oh my God.
What? You've brought in cherries and I'm eating your cherries. What's the problem? Sorry, that's ruined it, hasn't it? Thank you for tuning in, Mr. and Mrs. Fletcher, and we're having a lovely time, and I hope you're enjoying the poker. Have I ruined it?
No, that's better. Thank you
I've
very
ruined
much.
it, haven't I? They're watching Canada. This show is so global.
Isn't it, though? It is global. We have an audience all over the world. In
Yeah.
fact, I believe that there is a Poker Night Live in Canada now as well. Much
Yes,
related
it's
to
been
this one.
exported,
That's
yes.
right. With Canadian voices. Much like this one.
Yes. So very similar, in fact.
Very, very similar.
Indeed.
Yes.
But you can watch on the internet, of course, wherever you are in the world, which
It's
is
true.
fantastic. I think we're now in 4 or 5 countries on TV,
Uh-huh.
but obviously on the internet we're global.
Which is great, because if you go on holiday, you can always watch it in broadband.
What are their names? Because I don't like referring to people as Mr. and Mrs. I stopped that when I was about 6.
Okay, it's Teresa and Larry.
Teresa and Larry.
Those are my parents.
Hello, Teresa, and good evening, Larry.
Yes.
It's not evening, though, presumably. What is it?
It would be daytime there. It's about 3 in the afternoon,
3 in the afternoon.
and I hope they're enjoying the poker.
3 in the afternoon?
Yeah.
And they're watching poker on the telly?
Well, yeah. Wouldn't you?
I would if my daughter was on it yet.
There you go.
So we've got 6 players left.
Uh-huh, we do indeed. The blinds are up to 81.60, so as Nick did say earlier, they do go up every 10 hands. You can see that they did just go up.
Yes.
And now that's going to form about, let's see, about 10% of the average chip stack there. If you take a look at Nash Anubis, has 1,500 chips. The big blind is 160, so he's really just got under 10 big blinds.
Yes. Look at that horrendous outdraw on the end there for Shell My Bell. The only way Hoofy could have lost that pot and up it popped. Bad luck, Hoofy.
Ouch.
That was a bad one.
That was. But don't go on tilt. Don't get all crazy with it.
Hoofy won't do that. He's calm.
Well, let's see what he does with King 9. Calm?
He's no longer calm.
No.
No, he's actually
I
made a very
suppose,
good
yeah.
decision because, oh my
He's
goodness.
made his move. Ooh.
Well, he's just profited from something unique to the internet there, because Nash Anubis only needed to put in another 10 chips to call. But what Nash Anubis had done, I'm assuming correctly, Nash Anubis had filled in the box marked fold
Ah.
if there was any kind of raise,
Yeah.
because he was in the big blind, and so that kicked in. And Hoofy's just been given a birthday present.
Well, yeah.
He did the right thing, Hoofy, by going in, because he had to pay the big blind next hand. He
Right.
didn't have chips. So that's why he bet with King 9.
Well, King 9's not so bad if that's your situation.
If it's do or die, that's not so bad.
Yeah, make your move time.
Make your move. So, if you are new to Texas Hold'em, or if this is the first time you've caught Poker Night Live, we want to hear from you. Text and email, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. I'll give you a quick spin through how to play. But I would encourage you, A, to stay tuned, and you will pick it up, because you won't pick it up instantly. But B, also to go online and just tap in Texas Hold'em rules, and you will get a guide on how to play, which you can browse at your leisure from a lot of different free places. While we're here, though, here's how to play.
Why not?
Why not? Quick as I can, for those of you that are used to the game, and I know those of you that don't know will email your questions anyway, so I won't have to linger.
Don't belabor the point.
Don't need to belabor the point. We're trying to win chips or cash in this game.
Yeah.
And there are 2 ways that we can do that. We can either have the best hand at the end of all betting, or we can make a bet that no one else can equal. So if we make a bet and everybody else decides to throw their cards away, then you win. And that's the unique thing about poker. You can win with the worst score. So as I always say, it's like losing 3-0 at football, but telling the other team you actually scored 4 goals, and
Right.
they go, "Oh, you did. We lost. That's annoying," and then they walk off. So it makes poker unique. You can win without the best score. And the principle is, in terms of betting, is that the betting must be equalised on every round.
Ooh, look at this. Something's happening.
What's happening, Cara?
We're going to the multi-table tournament just to take a look and see where we're at here. Right, about now, we've got about 99 players left. Now, that's down from 279. So we've lost quite a few people, and there's 13 tables, just like the one you see in front of you, down from 35. Now, as people are playing on all the different tables, all these 35 tables, and being knocked out by losing all of their chips, the computer is breaking down the smaller tables and consolidating them around the other tables. So people are moving around. So this is a bit different from a single table tournament in the fact that you're not playing with exactly the same players at each table for the rest of the tournament. What do you think, Nick?
I agree. Very well said.
Thank you. Right, the average chip stack here is 4,227, so just over 4,000 chips. The chip leader is Manic27, who we're showing you here on this table. He's in seat 1, and the smallest stack at the time I've got this information from is 160. But obviously, whoever had 160 might be gone by now.
They might be gone.
Or they might be the chip leader in the next round. It's hard to say. It's poker. It's a funny old game.
And it is no-limit poker, and as we said before, things can change very, very quickly.
True.
We can see viewers can make a mental note that Manic is the chip leader at the moment. At some point later in the show, we'll have the final table. He could just as easily not be on that final table as be on it, despite the fact he's got lots of chips now. If you're not careful with those chips, then this game will take them away from you just as quickly as it will give them to you. That's what makes it exciting. That's why it's sweeping the globe.
It is. It certainly is. So what's the biggest difference in play between multi-table and single-table tournaments?
Well, multi-table tournaments, you need a little bit more patience because they're a longer set of affairs, so you need a bit more concentration, a bit more patience. It's also highly likely that you'll be moved around or that the people around you will be moved. So a single table tournament, just watching, you can get used to the lineup. That may change with a multi-table tournament. You are much less likely to win money in a multi-table because there's so many other players. But when you do win money, there's a good chance that it will be a healthy return.
Okay.
But yeah, in terms of play, you need to, it's a longer game, so you need to be a little bit more careful with your chips, and there's usually less pressure because the blinds will go up less quickly than in a single table.
Fair enough.
So they are a little bit of a different skill. And back to our single table, and these are our money winners.
That's right. So we've got the last 3, so each person here is going to go home with a little bit of money at least. Now, Earl is the, has the smallest chip stack at the moment. The dealer button there. And when you've only got 3 players, when it gets down to this sort of stage, the blinds are coming around so much faster, and they've gone up so much. At the moment, you can see that they're 326.40, which means that it goes a lot faster at this stage, doesn't it? Yeah,
there's a lot of pressure on now.
Yeah.
And particularly a lot of pressure on Shell My Bell and Earl, who are really struggling for chips. Now that's a big bluff.
It really is. It's a bit of a dangerous bluff.
But a ruddy good one. Look at that.
Well, it worked. It didn't have to work, though.
Didn't have
to work. It's been very dangerous. So the thing is, when you get down to this level of a tournament, obviously your starting standards, which we talked about a little bit before, don't have to be quite as high, do they? You don't have to be playing with a pair of aces. You can go in with a 4 and a 10, although I really wouldn't suggest going in with a 4 and a 10 myself. But
very different. Well, yeah, I mean, three-handed, you play more hands for 2 reasons. First of all, the blinds come along more often, and you have to defend them because that's your chips going in. And second of all, statistically, the chances of a good hand coming out are much less because only 3 hands are being dealt.
Right.
Do you have a tissue, Cara?
I might do, yeah.
Really? That would be absolutely tremendous. Just dropped my left arm. Looks like Scotty's going to win this hand, and we're going to be heads up. Unless Earl can hit something, can't be done. So Scotty versus Shell My Bell. Classic Battle of the Sexes. So one of them is masquerading.
It's crumpled, but it's not dirty.
Thank you, that will do the job.
So yes, down to the final 2, and they've got a fairly similar chip stacks there, although Scotty did just put in the big blind.
When do you want it back?
I think you can keep that tissue, thanks, yeah. It's all yours.
It's really generous.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so now as we said, the blinds are big, and it's all about aggressive play. And Shell My Bell is aggressive, rightly so. The ace-10 is a very, very good hand with only 2 players left. Scotty has to pass. Shell My Bell takes the lead.
So at that point, Shell My Bell is basically stealing the blinds. Not waiting to see the flop, not giving his opponent the chance to see the flop either and outdraw him. So aggressiveness is the name of the game here.
Aggressiveness is the name of the game, and Scotty is giving action to your words.
Ah.
The King 10 suited again. It's a big hand when only 2 hands are being dealt. If you ever were to be so bored as to take a pack of cards and start dealing out lots of 2 Texas Hold'em hands, you'll see how rare it is actually that a good hand comes out.
You've done that a lot, haven't you?
I have a very lonely life. And this is going to be over. Scotty has the flush. One of our regular players, good player, Scotty, 0011, takes the tournament. First place. Well done. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Start of the show, a little tournament. This is how it all transpired in colourful form.
Look at that.
It's a thing of beauty. What can you see in it? I can see a moth and the face of my father. Is that normal?
I think maybe you need to see someone about that.
I do, twice
professional.
a week. Yeah. Doesn't help.
No? I've never believed in the idea of ink blots.
No. Did you enjoy the tournament?
I did. And like we did say, at the end bits of the tournament, it goes very fast. I find that much more exciting. Very
fast, very exciting. And well done, Scotty, well played. One of our regular players, send us an email, tell us how it was for you. Gloat a little, why don't you? You won on the TV. It's got to be worth an email, hasn't it? I like a success email.
I do too.
A little bit of positivity in the air.
Definitely. We're not big on the bad beat stories, so give us something to, you know, a good story to talk about.
Friday night.
You know what? It is actually. It's Friday night here.
Get it?
It's Friday night. That's 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm feeling quite street tonight.
Well, you're looking quite street tonight, innit?
Thank you. Thanks. I could just go out there and be down with almost everyone. That's good.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
I'm as straight as you are.
Lovely.
Oh, aren't we
could
so
both
straight?
go out there and wrap quick sticks with some some youngsters. Stirs. We're going to tell you how poker works in a minute.
Yeah, promise.
Well, the action stopped us from getting around to all of the rules.
That's true.
But
and we do have a few hours here, so...
We have a few hours.
And if you have questions, obviously, let us know what the questions are, because it gives us something to focus on. When we know what you need to understand, it gives Nick
which is
a bit of purpose.
Which is code for it gives Nick something to talk about that isn't nonsense.
It helps him focus.
Yes.
So do send him questions if you've got them. Poker related would be great.
It's like an attention deficit child.
Kind of.
Yeah. No, stay tuned, guys, because you're going to learn a lot. If you've just started playing, I promise you, I learned to play poker 8-9 years ago, and if this show had been around then, I would have been glued to it, because it's such an easy way to learn how to play.
It's true. It's basically the way that I've learned how to play, but then I don't play very well, so maybe I'm not the best poster child for that.
Oh, God, Kara.
What?
Well, how does that help us?
Sorry.
Just lie. Say, I've learned how to play here, and I am now brilliant.
They know who I am. I'm toe strack, and my record's not so good. I'm just being honest.
Okay.
I need a few tips. What can I say? Maybe we'll get some tips from the 50-cent $1 game we're about to go to.
Maybe the viewers out there who aren't beginners could email in some tips. All good.
Well, that would be good as well. You kind of ruined my link there. I was going to go to a game. But thanks for that. Right, let's go see a game. 50-cent $1.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It was a beautiful link as well.
It wasn't that good.
There'll be others.
Really? No, I know. I'm sorry, Carrie. You know, it's amateur night in more ways than one, if we're honest. Can I still have some of your cherries?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm really sorry about that.
That's all right.
Well,
there's grapes there as well if you're hungry.
Thank you.
I might be running out of tissue for your nose soon.
Okay.
I have to get your mum. I have to get Sue to pack you a little lunch next time.
Oh, you remembered Sue.
Obviously.
Good evening, Sue. I hope you're well. Hope you're doing good.
Yeah, me too.
I have a little cold, Mummy.
Oh, God, you boys.
It's only just, you know, I think the common fact here is you, Cara.
I know. I'm feeling a bit bad. Well, not really. No.
Not really.
Not
I feel
really,
bad about
no.
the whole link thing.
Do you? Really?
Yeah.
All right then.
Anyone does that to me, I cove their head in with a monitor.
No, the monitors are a bit heavy for me.
If somebody did want to email the show, how would they do that?
How would they do that? Well, they could get onto their computers.
Yes.
Punch in their email, whatnot, and we are at pokernightlive.co.uk. So you would type in the word poker, The little @ symbol, pokernightlive.co.uk.
Brilliant. It's going to be lots tonight, I can feel it.
I know, we've actually already got one from one of the players in our multi-table tournament.
Ah,
We'll
excellent.
save that.
Excellent.
Do you like to hear from people who are actually playing on the TV tables?
Yeah, completely interactive show, and that does take it up a level, no question. Got a flush for Queen suited, 5 cards, all the same suit. And it's going to win a pot. This is a cash game.
So this is different from a tournament how?
It is different. The blinds don't go up,
Right.
point number 1. So those blinds are set at 50 cent and $1, and they dictate the level of the game. In the poker world, you can have blinds for anything from 1 cent, 2 cent, all the way up to $10,000 and $20,000. If we've even seen any cards.
Wow.
Crazy. But here they're 50 cent and $1, and those will remain fixed. And the other key difference is that the players can put more cash on the table when they run out or when they run short. In our tournament situation, they get an initial allocation of chips, and when those are gone, so is the player. But in this situation, when they run out of cash, they can go to their account, their bank, their mum or their dad, and get some more cash to play with. And on this table, the most you can put down at any one time is $100. So anyone above $100 is definitely in profit for this buy, and like Johan Harron, one of our regular players, sitting there with $144, and also the other person with $134.
TJ Dewey Boy.
That's it. That's good.
Nice.
Nice. So that's a cash game. Requires a little bit more discipline than a tournament, and lasts as long as you want it to last. You can get up whenever you like, whereas a tournament obviously has a narrative structure. I'm told.
It does, in fact. So, because you can sit down at a cash game for basically the rest of your life, because some of these cash games, people just nip in and nip out, and they're always going on. They're just continuous. When do you think is time to get out? So would you set yourself a time limit? I know a lot of poker players say don't set yourself a money limit, either a top or a bottom level, if you're losing or you're winning. But when do you think is the right time to come out?
You only want to play in a game where you can play poker for fun, or you can play for money. If you're playing for fun, I guess...
Play till you stop having
Play
fun.
till you stop having fun, absolutely. If you're playing for money, then you don't want to fall into the trap of worrying about when you're up or when you're down, because poker is a fickle mistress, and even the best players have losing nights. What you need to worry about is, do you have a positive edge in the game? And by that I simply mean, are you better than the other players? If you feel that you are, even though you're losing, you should probably keep playing. The only real way to set a point at which to stop at is time.
Okay.
If you're going to be a regular player, what you should probably do is sit down at your cash game and say, this is going to be a 4-hour session, or whatever, 2-hour, 8-hour, whatever you like, and stick to that.
What if you're winning at the end of that?
Well, that's all right.
But what if you're winning and you think I'm on a bit of a roll here? Do you still think you should stop if you set yourself a limit?
I would say that you should. If you're going to be a regular serious player, you should. The exception to that is if it's a particularly profitable situation. So if you've got a big advantage over the people you're playing against, or if you've got a good situation where they are treating you with a lot of respect, or whatever it is, if it's a situation that means it's very profitable for you, you might consider playing on. Some situations you may be a fool to walk away from. But at the same time, if you're serious about poker and you really want to get to a standard where you're making regular money from the game, then you have to get the discipline of walking away when you plan to.
Right, okay.
And that should occur whether you're winning or you're losing. So that would be the way to do that.
Okay. Thanks for that, Nick.
That's an absolute pleasure. Shall we talk about how to play this game for those that are new on this Friday night? And I hope you all had a lovely week, by the way. Yeah,
me too, and I hope you have a great weekend. And this is a blinding way to start your weekend.
It really is. It really is. Bit of fun on a Friday night on the TV. Maybe something cold and fizzy from the fridge. Something warm and snuggly from your other half.
And Nick Wealthall's dulcet tones.
Nick Wealthall's
to carry you through.
Dream scenario. Yes, poker.
Yes.
My old friend. So we talked about the blinds, and we talked about the 2 ways to win, have the best hand, or make a bet no one else can equal. So let's just clarify the absolute the ways to win, again, which are you either have the best hand or you make a bet no one else can call. And that leads us to understanding the betting patterns in poker. The principle is that on each betting round, the betting must be equalised before we move on to the next betting round. In Texas Hold'em, there are 4 betting rounds. There's a betting round after you receive the first 2 cards. Then 3 cards come out in the middle, and there's another betting round. Then 1 more card, another betting round, and a final card, and a final betting round. So 4 betting rounds in total. And each time, those people that wish to continue in the hand must equal the bet. So initially, that's the blind bets.
Right.
The blinds are 50 cents and $1. That means that all the players need to put in $1 to equal the bet if they are going to continue.
Okay.
As we move away from the game for some statistics, which will shed further light on how the players play. This is when the players fold. So the tightest players are at the top and the loosest players are at the bottom.
But obviously you can see that not everyone's been dealt the same number of hands because this is a cash game, which means they can, some players will have started a little bit later than others.
Absolutely.
So if, say, for Enigma has only been dealt 16 hands so far, his statistics mean a little bit less because it's not such a big sample size, really, to look at in terms of statistics, I would say.
That's right.
Personally.
You're absolutely on the money. Well, we've covered everything, haven't we?
I think so. I was paying most of attention.
You weren't listening
No,
at
I
all.
wasn't.
Yeah,
I was.
okay, you're reading the viewers' emails. That's really...
They're quite interesting.
Well, I know they are, but, you know, there's a show going on around you. It's a bloody good one as well. Those are the betting rounds. That's the betting principle. Betting must be equalised. And if the betting gets to you... Why am I saying betting? It's because I've got a snuffle. If the betting gets to you, you've got 3 options. You can either match the bet to carry on in the hand. If you don't want to put the money in, the chips in, you can throw your cards away, in which case you're out. And if you really like your hand, or you want to pretend you like your hand, you can raise, which is to increase the level of the bet. And then everybody else, in a clockwise direction, would then have to match that bet. And if they'd already entered the pot that round, they'd have to make up the difference. So here, Johan Harren has increased the blind bet to 4. He's raised it to $4. Everybody else must now put in at least 4. And judging by the cards, which are not very pretty, they will probably all throw their cards away. So Johan Harren will win this hand. He'll win the 50 cent and $1, and he doesn't have to show his cards. If you're new to poker, that's a unique thing about this game. You do not have to reveal what you had if you make a bet that nobody else equals. Right,
so you only have to show your cards in a showdown between however many players at the very end decide.
At the end, after 4 betting rounds, if there's betting that's equalised, then yes, the cards are turned up and the best hand wins.
Okay.
But how do we know what the best hand is, Carrie?
Yes, Nick, do tell us. How do we know what the best hand is?
Well, I thought you could tell us. You don't want to. You're shy.
It's not that
You're
I'm
going to cry.
shy.
You're going to hit me?
No, I was thinking about hitting you. Obviously,
that's just an impulse you've had for an hour
generally.
now. Yeah.
No, obviously the best 5-card hand wins. So you've got 2 hands, which are called your hole cards, or they're the cards that you hold in the pocket.
Yeah, for example, Ace Jack there in front of SG 1 for 5.
Exactly. So SG's whole cards are Jack and an Ace. Now, 3 cards are then dealt, and this is called the flop, and these are community cards, which means that they belong to everyone. Everyone can use them.
Yes.
And then you've obviously got the turn, and you've got the river. Sorry, Nick's just having a bit of a snack. So with the turn and the river, those are the next 5 community cards all together. Right? So those are the 5 community cards, and together with your whole cards, you make up the best 5-card hand. So in some cases, the best 5-card hand might actually be the 5 cards on the board, at which point anyone who's left after all the betting rounds splits the pot, because they all have the best possible hand. Sometimes it's a matter of a mixture between your whole cards and the ones on the board. So if you have, say, a Jack and an Ace is your whole cards, and on the board you've got a Jack and 4 other cards, then you've got a pair of Jacks and whatever else you've got, and you've got an Ace kicker, and the kicker is sort of the side card that you're not using as a part of a pair or a trip or whatnot.
Yes.
How have I done so far?
Pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's good.
You want to take us through the winning hands then?
I've finished my grape.
Good.
Which was delicious. The key thing to remember if you're just starting poker is to drill into your mind the best 5-card hand, as Kara said. You've got 7 cards to choose from, it's the best 5-card hand, and the best 5 cards always count. So if 2 players have got the same hand, 2 players have got a pair of jacks and a pair of 8s, then the next best card, whether that's on the board in the middle or in their hand, will count as their 5th card, and that may determine who wins the pot. If both players have got exactly the same hand, the pot is split. Okay? Now, how do we compare hands? Well, there is a hand rankings chart. Again, I will go through it now, but you can find it on the internet for free. Just type in Texas Hold'em hand rankings or poker hand rankings. And many of these may be familiar to you already. But the way it's determined is the least likely hand, the less likely... I'll get my grammar even in the same language in a minute. Let's just ponder that. The way it's determined is the more unlikely a hand is to occur, statistically, the more powerful it is. So rare things are precious, we know this in life, like Kara.
I am a rare bird.
You're both rare and precious. That should get me a couple more grapes/cherries. Rare things are precious, so the harder something is to get, the more powerful and more useful it is. So that's why these hand rankings are in the order that they are. And the order of 5-card hand rankings is...
Thank you,
Kara.
Nick. Do tell us.
You like doing it.
No, I don't. You always make me do it. I think we're going to go back to the MTT, and we will do this bit over the MTT. So let's take a look at some more poker, and then we will get to the 5 cards, or sorry, the hand ranking system there. But at the moment with the MTT, we've got 55 players left.
Oh,
so we're just going to dip in and take a look at this.
Quick, isn't it?
I know, it really is. So there's only 7 tables left. Down from 35. The average stack is 7,609, and the chip leader now has changed to Warsaw, who you can see in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th seat there. And Warsaw has 20,505, so he's got well over the average chip stack. And the smallest chip stack is 305, which is at another table.
Okay, wow, so 55 left out of 279, and they haven't even been going very long.
No, they're dropping like flies.
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Right then, so going to the hand rankings.
You really don't want to do it, Kara. It's good for you. It's good for your poker education.
I know.
All right, I'll do it. But this is the first and the last time that you've played your joker effectively.
Oh, have I?
You have. Okay, so the 5-card hand rankings that you're trying to achieve start off with 1 card high. So if you've got 5 unconnected cards, like for example, ace, jack, 8, 4, 2, all of different suits, you would have ace high. Next up is 1 pair. So let's say a pair of kings and then 3 unconnected cards would be a pair. And a pair is sometimes enough to take a pot in Texas Hold'em.
In fact, it is the most common tournament hand that takes a pot, is a single pair.
Well, there we are.
How bad is that? I really wouldn't have thought so, but apparently it is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's fine.
Have I ruined
No,
your
that's
momentum?
Is that true?
No, it is.
Okay.
Why are you asking me, is that true?
Well,
Of
I
course
don't
it
know.
is. I just said it was.
Well, you might just be trying to make things up to get attention. I don't know.
Yes. I've not had enough attention.
I do that all the time.
No. Actually,
Okay.
it's something that Cass and I think, saw on Wednesday somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there we go. A pair, as we all know, is the most frequently winning hand in tournaments. But I'm teaching you how to suck eggs now, you all knew that. That's 1 pair. Why are you looking offended? You know I'm teasing. It was a good fact.
Thanks.
After that, 2 pair. 2 pairs, if you prefer. So your 5-card hand will be made up of 2 lots of matching cards, 2 jacks, 2 8s, and a 6, for example. And if 2 pair comes up against 2 pair, the highest pair counts. So aces and 2s would beat kings and queens, even though aces and 2s may look slightly less pretty. And then after that, we have 3 of a kind, which is where our hands start to get really strong. So 3 kings, then 2 uncoordinated cards. And then we have a straight, which is a 5-card hand, 5 cards in a row. Also by some British people incorrectly called a run. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, for example, would be your straight. And this is where an ace can be used as a low card. It's the only time in Hold'em it's used as a low card. So ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 would also be a straight. The highest straight is 10, jack, queen, king, ace. That's enough about straights. Flushes are the prettiest of all the hands, in my opinion. All 5 cards, exactly the same suit. So 5 diamonds, 5 hearts, 5 spades, or 5 clubs would be your flush. And if one flush comes up against another flush, the highest ranking flush wins. There's no suit preference in poker. Then we've got a full house, 3 of one kind, 2 of another, in 5 cards. Very strong hand. We'll probably see a couple tonight and get slightly excited. And after that, 4 of a kind, exactly what it says on the tin. 4 of the same rank, so say 4 tens, for example, and 1 other card. Always 5 cards count, remember that. And finally, top of the tree, very rare, Poker Night Live, fireworks and banners do come out in the studio if we get one, so let's hope we see one tonight.
I wish they would, because we actually saw one on Wednesday and there were no fireworks banners.
Well, that's because I wasn't here.
All right.
Tonight I'm here, it's Friday night.
Woohoo!
Nick Wealthall's Poker Night Live, very special.
Oh, is it? Nick Wealthall's Poker Night Live.
Check your contract. 5 cards, all in a row, and all of the
shocking.
same suit is a straight flush, and that's the best hand available to you in poker, but very, very rare. And those are your 5 card hand rankings. As I said, quickly ran through them, but they will be available on the internet for nothing. If you're new to poker and you want to follow the show, get that up on your computer. That'll help you out.
Yeah, you need to know what that is, because if the flop shows that someone else might be on their way to, let's say, a flush or a straight, and all you've got is a pair, even if it's a pair of aces, then really you need to think about folding, because...
Exactly right, Kara. Key point, hand strength in poker is situational. So sometimes 3 of a kind is a very, very strong hand. Sometimes, as Kara says, let's say there were 5 hearts in the middle of the table. Well, that's a flush. And remembering what we talked about before, you can use any of the 5 cards from the 5 in the middle and the 2 in your hand. So everybody would have a flush in that situation. So if you had 3 of a kind, that would be irrelevant because everybody would be beating you.
Yeah.
So it's a situational game, and there's no definitive a three of a kind is a strong hand or a weak hand. Doesn't work like that. Gotcha. So yes, the reason poker, Hold'em poker is so popular, the reason it's so much more popular than other games, is that you always know what's possible. Because we can see 5 cards in the middle, you always know the best possible hand because you can work out what 2 cards somebody could hold in their hand to give themselves the best possible holding. So that's why you always need to know where you are and how strong your hand compared to other potential hands is.
Right. And you know that as well by asking for information. And one of the ways you ask for information is by placing a bet. So by betting, you are effectively telling everyone else at the table that you've got a strong hand, or that you're bluffing, but more likely that you've got a strong hand. And then you can see what everyone else does around the table to that. If perhaps they don't have a very strong hand, they might fold. Some people might call it, and some people might re-raise you. Yes. Betting is its own... Betting is the way that players communicate to each other. And there's basically 3 levels of thinking in poker. As a beginner, if you're new to the game, and if you're just picking this up for the first time, welcome. But if you are new to the game, you'll be at the first level of thinking, which is basically, what's my hand? What have I got? What's going on? Who are those 2? You'll be thinking about your cards and where that fits on the hand rankings table. The second level of poker thinking is, what have they got? So, as Kara says, when somebody makes a bet, that usually means that they've got something. So you'll start to try and work out what that is. You'll compare the size of their bet, for example, to what's on the board, what's possible, and you'll start to think beyond your own hand. Then the third level of thinking is, what do they think I've got? So not only what do they have, but from my actions, what do they think I have? And that's getting more complex, and it'll take you a little while to get that on a regular basis, but that's what you're aiming for. But as Kara says, the bets in this game and the bets that you'll see on your screen are a language of their own, and you need to try and listen to them and use that to help you win cash prizes. So if the cards are speaking to you, then you're not crazy. There you go. There you go. Not crazy at all. Now we've got some emails here because people are dying to get poker information from the fabulous Nick Wealthall. So, in fact, we've got one from a player who's in the multi-table tournament right now, and that would be Snowblind. And Snowblind says, first of all, I must say that I love all Canadians. Ah, well, thank you. We love you too. All of us, generally. All 35 million, or however many it is. How many is it? I'm not really sure. Oh, okay. I'm afraid not. Just thought I would ask you how to keep concentration in a multi-table tournament, as I'm in a 17,000 guarantee multi-table tournament. And have been playing for 2 hours now, and I know when it gets to around 3 hours, my concentration starts to drop, but only on the internet. When I play live, I could play forever. Any idea why this might be? Well, I would probably say maybe it's a bit of the old buzz of playing live. You get a bit of adrenaline, but what would you think? Well, there's a lot of distractions when you're on the internet. Take it from me.
if you haven't found them yet, don't try and find them. They are out there. No, you're usually at home, and that means there's a lot of distractions. Everything from your partner trying to get you to take out the trash, to the TV, to other internet sites, to trying to get to the toilet and back in between hands. Live, there's only the game. My tip is very, very simple. Keep the goal in mind. If you're playing a long tournament, why are you in the tournament? Well, you're there to win money, I hope. You may be there to have fun, but usually if you're in a tournament, especially a decent tournament that you're talking about, you're there to win money. So I want you to take the first prize amount and fix it in your brain. And when you feel the concentration wandering, I want you to think about that amount. Let's say it's 17,000 guaranteed tournaments. Let's say first prize is 7,000. I want you to think about that money. I want you to think about how it would feel to win that money, what you would do with that money. And every time you make a bet or a raise or a fold, I want you to think, is this bet, raise or fold worth $7,000? Okay? So goal in mind, that'll get your focus. It'll get my attention anyway.
That'll get my attention.
There you go.
Certainly. Okay, well,
That's
there you go.
the tip.
Now, we have another email here, and this one, I think, I don't know, it's a bit spooky. But I'll tell you why in a minute. This is from Making Jam, who sent some emails in on Wednesday as well, so it's nice to see you back again. Now, Making Jam says, Dear Toast Rack and Mr. Wealthall, did you enjoy dinner? That's the spooky bit. Right, quick question about bullying. If you're playing against a big stack, who will raise any bet into him to the level of the stack of the previous bettor? For example, I have 1,000 chips, bet 150 and get raised 850 pre-flop by the biggest stack. How good does my hand have to be to enter a pot on this table, allowing for the fact that I probably don't have time to wait for aces? Yours, Making Jam. Now, I want to know how Making Jam knew that we had dinner before the show.
Well, everyone eats dinner. It's not that clever.
I suppose, but it just seems a bit...
He figures out we must have eaten before the show because we couldn't eat after because it'd be 2 a.m. Either that or he's my stalker. Welcome. I've always wanted a stalker.
He might be your stalker, because we did actually have dinner together before the show, that's all I'm saying. It's wow.
Quite nice as well. I don't know if we've got enough time to answer this before the break, but I'll have a very quick go. If you've got a bully at your table, then there's only one language bullies understand, right? You know what it is. You've got to stand up to them. You've got to punch them in the face.
Difficult. Online.
But the bottom line is that every time he makes that big raise, he can't have a big hand. It's impossible. So you need about a medium to strong hand, something like a pair of nines, pair of tens to make a stand with. But you don't want to make a stand unless you have to. That's the tip. I'll give you a bit more on bullying after the break, but I think we've got to shoot off for a few minutes.
We are. We're going to shoot off, but we are going to be back very soon after the break with lots more great poker knowledge. So people should stay tuned.
Were you the waiter?
Maybe he was the waiter from dinner.
We'll
have a
you were
think
lovely.
and we'll see you after the break.
See you in a minute.
Hello and welcome back to the second hour of Poker Night Live.
Part 2.
Part 2 of 4.
Can it live up to part 1? Because that was electric.
It was electric. It was absolutely electric. And during the break, we were talking about this, the whole email we got from Making Jam, and where he starts off by saying, I hope we enjoyed dinner. Did we actually mention on the show, because now I'm going to be obsessing about this, that we actually had dinner together today?
You are obsessing about it.
Well, I know, but
I know it was an amazing time for you, but try.
It was the best dinner I've had all day.
She's not joking. She's not joking. Tell me more where that came from.
Ooh.
Not with me, obviously.
Big talker.
No, not with me. Just dinners. Probably another one tomorrow. I was talking to Making Jam and the collective poker community about bullying.
This is true.
Bullies at your table. Only one language they understand and stand up to them. I presume you're in a tournament situation, which is rough, because if you're in a cash game situation, the easiest way to deal with a bully is to go and play at another table. Because it's really quite tedious if somebody is raising every hand.
Yeah.
Because it does make it difficult to play. And it's sod's law that when you decide to stand up to them, that's the one time they pick up a real hand.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
You have to take that. That comes with the territory, really. I mean, really, you just want to avoid them until you've got the goods. And then when you've got the goods, which would be a pair of some kind, so a mid to strong pair, stronger the better, then you don't be afraid to put all your chips in. Okay? What's funny?
Sorry. Nothing.
I'm giving A-grade poker advice.
Yeah. A-grade poker advice.
I mean, that's undermining the expert. No, do stand up to them, but stand up to them, but wait until you have the goods. Don't get impatient and make a move with something like King Queen, which is so easy to do because it is frustrating. But you just need to bide your time and let other people make mistakes against them. Hopefully, in a tournament situation, somebody else will take them out, ideally.
Yeah.
Because if you've got somebody that's making you play for all of your chips, it's very difficult, because that's the last thing you want to do. But wait until you have a decent-sized pair and then go for it. That's the advice.
Right.
And none of it was funny.
No.
So.
Okay. Right. We've got another email here. And this one's from Hugh, a.k.a. Dead Spiders.
You're laughing more when you look at me, which is really disconcerting.
I can't help it, Nick.
No.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. Oh, it's your hair. I love your hair.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll let you touch it.
I'm sorry.
Not tonight, obviously.
Back to the email.
Yeah.
Right. This is from Hugh. It says, "Good evening, Nick and Toasty. Good evening to you as well. I'd like some advice on how I should determine the relative sizes of my bets when betting for value across a number of streets. For example, with a very strong hand, after putting in a strong raise on the flop and getting one caller of average playing style, should my subsequent bets be a similar amount, a large proportion of the pot, larger, since he's already shown he wants to continue with the hand, or smaller to be sure to keep him in for the final round? I am sorry, Hugh, for laughing during your email." It's not your email. "I appreciate you always have to make these decisions in light of a particular opponent's style and characteristics, but could you give me some general advice on how to milk most value from an average opponent? Nick, please answer that."
I swear to God, I'm sitting here in disbelief. Hugh, can I first of all say I approve of calling young carer Toasty. Brilliant. That is perfect. He's conflated Toast Rack into something really quite chummy, which is nice.
Great.
I like it. In terms of bet size, part of the skill of No Limit Hold'em is getting your bet size right, because obviously you have the option to manipulate it, and you can make other players make mistakes. Very, very important. And also you can make mistakes yourself if you call a bet that's too big or pass a bet that's too small and so on. It's so difficult because there are obviously a limitless amount of situations that you're asking me to give you guidance on. To give you some rules of thumb, if you've got a strong, you're saying when you've got a strong hand, if you've got a strong hand and you want them to carry on, it's really finding a price that is attractive to the other player. So you want to bet as much as you can bet without putting them off. Now this will vary totally from situation to situation and from player to player. But you need to consider certain factors in all these situations. One is, what type of player are they? Are they likely to call with a substandard hand, in which case you can make the bet a bit bigger? How many chips do they have left in their stack? If they've got a lot of chips in their stack, again, they can afford to call a bit more. And what's the history between the two of you? Do they trust that you've got a big hand, or do they suspect you're bluffing? Obviously, if they suspect you're bluffing, you can make the bet a bit bigger. As a general rule of thumb, something between half and 2/3 of the pot is a normal bet, something like that. But there will be times when it's right to bet 1/8 of the pot and times when it's right to bet more than the pot. I've given you some of the factors to use when you make that decision, but it really comes down to experience, because there are so many situations in this game. But do take into account, as we talked about levels of poker thinking, put yourself in the other player's position. Think about what he's likely to have and how your bet will look to him, and then put as much as you can get away with. Hope that helps.
Yeah, hope that helps. And
Right.
there you go.
Settled down now.
So a
have
bit
you?
of, sorry?
Have you settled down?
Yes, I am sorry for that.
Wow.
Right. Anyways, I too much sugar over the break, I guess. We have one more email. This one is also talking about going all in with your chips. So it's sort of related to not the last one, but the one before. Now, this is from Paula in Eastbourne.
A lady.
Paula says, yes, a lady.
Good.
I'm guessing a lady.
Good.
Hello there. I would like a little practical advice, please. You're in a tournament and you need a win soon, but it's not yet absolutely desperate. You're in middle to late position and are dealt 2 4s, but someone goes all in before you, and to call it would mean all of your chips. Please, Nick, could you give us a benefit of your experience to talk about these situations, which I seem to be faced with quite often? It seems if I ever call, I will lose. But if I go all in early myself, I'll still lose. Even with 8s or 9s, what's your advice with all these kinds of pairs in various situations? That's a big question. So all sorts of pairs in all sorts of various situations. There you go.
Thanks, Kara.
You're welcome.
You're a doll. Allegedly. We've got, I'll talk about the situation that you mentioned, because as Kara says, all pairs in all situations is a lot of questions. The main question you've asked is, you're getting a little bit desperate in a tournament, you need to win a pot. Fine. pair of fours, after somebody's gone all in, is not the time to try and win that pot. Basically, there's a very, very important principle in tournament play, actually in all poker, particularly in tournament play, which is if you make a bet or a raise, you're in a much stronger position than if you call. Now, hopefully, the reason for that is intuitive, but it goes to the heart of poker and the two ways to win, which is if you're the aggressor, if you're the player making the bet or making the raise, then other player or players have a decision to make, which is to whether to match that bet. There is a chance that none of them will match that bet, and if so, you win. Right? And if that happens to you, you've got a freebie. It doesn't matter what your cards are. So that is a big bonus. Being the first to move, being the aggressor, is a big, big plus in Texas Hold'em poker. In the situation you talked about, somebody else has already gone all in, and you're thinking about calling with a pair of fours for all your chips. Now, whenever you call for all your chips, it sounds basic, but it's a really fundamental principle which you must get to be instinctive. When you call for all your chips, you must be right. You must win. Otherwise, that's it. It's all over. And with a pair of fours, you are almost never a long way ahead. The best you can normally hope for is that they've got two bigger cards, in which case you're a tiny favourite, kind of 51%, 52% favourite. And that is not a situation you want to be in for all your chips. Whereas, if nobody had played, and you had that pair of fours and you moved all in, and there are only 2 or 3 people left behind you, if you can make a decent bet, there's a good chance that they will fold and that you will win, having never shown your pair of fours. So that chance added into your chances if you are called makes it a much, much better proposition. So my advice would be, if you're later-ish in the tournament, you need to win a pot, make sure you move in when nobody else has come in before you. I would rather you did that with a hand like 7-3, which is a terrible hand, than with a pair of fours. With a pair of fours in the situation you described when you're calling. So the key tip is be the aggressor, be the first to get your money in. Do that, you're ahead of the game.
You're ahead of the game. So you need a stronger hand to call than you do to bet.
I could have just said that, couldn't I?
Well, you did.
Yeah.
But no, you gave a lot more valid and
more
informative.
More depth.
More depth.
Yes.
Definitely.
But you're absolutely right. That's what we're looking for.
Okay. I'm just summing it up. That's all
Brilliantly.
I'm doing.
No,
to prove I was listening.
Wow.
And I do. I'm learning a lot.
Exciting. Cool.
I think it is.
Cool.
Right. We're going to go, this is very exciting, to a $50 tournament.
Oh, cool.
So this is a bit different from the one we were looking at before. So let's take a look at how people are playing at these stakes. Right, so here we are. The blinds are at 10 and 20, so we're in the beginning stages of this $50 tournament. They will obviously have put $50 in to the pot there. That's 8 players. And the top 3 players will split that. Right, Enigma is on this table as well. We just saw him somewhere else. And FK8, Frantic, Jacali, Snowblind, who's also in the multi-table tournament. So, Snowblind, if that is the same Snowblind.
I'm sure it is.
It must be Snowblind 17. There can't be 16 other Snowblinds. Well, there might be, but I would doubt it. Is playing a multi-table and a single-table tournament.
Cool.
Would you do that?
Fun. Friday night? Of course I would.
I guess so.
Well, it's interesting because if you're new to poker, hopefully this will make sense. You can only play one live game at a time. Unless you're really fast. But online, you can play in more, and some internet sites will let you play on almost limitless amounts of tables. There are pros and cons to doing that. One of the pros of doing that is actually that it allows you to keep your concentration a little bit more, because some people get distracted if they only play on one game. And if they play on 2 or 3 games, it means that they're more focused on what's happening on screen. So, funnily enough, for some people, playing on more than one table helps their concentration. But the flip side of that is sometimes the opposite is true. If you're playing more than one game, your concentration is diluted.
Right.
So Snowblind has to ask himself, not because he's emailed in, so I presume he wants to be a winning player, because he wanted some guidance. He's not just doing it for fun. He needs to ask himself what gives him the best results, not what's the most fun. Because he may be slightly bored just playing one tournament, but if he wants the results, maybe that's the way for him to go. I don't know. He needs to ask himself that question. I just realised we didn't give out the text and email.
We didn't, did we?
And they're out there. and they
wondering how to get in touch.
Well, wondering how to get in touch.
This is true. So can we do that? Shall we do that now?
You do the magic.
All right, then. Through the magic of the interweb, as they call it, the kids nowadays, you can send us an email. It's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And also, you can send us a text. And I believe, there we go. There's your email right up on the screen now, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Send us your poker questions. And you can text us here in the studio, 62211, and we will get whatever it is that you are asking here in the studio by the magic of computers, and we'll answer your questions. And there you go. If you want to learn more about poker, pokernightlive.co.uk is the website address for you to check out.
Yes, and we are here for everybody's night, of course, but particularly focusing on people that are newish to the game. And please, doesn't matter how basic your question is, one of the interesting things about this show, which we've been doing for several months now, is that we don't get too many really basic questions.
True.
And I think that people are worried about...
They're a bit embarrassed almost,
maybe,
I think,
yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah, because we do spend a lot of the time on the show discussing questions which assume a certain amount of knowledge. But we also know that we have new viewers every night, welcome, and we have new players who are new to the game of poker. So if there's anything you don't understand, please don't worry about, you know, even if it's a short one-line question. We do want to hear from you. We love it when you get in touch, and we want to help you understand this game better. That's why we're here. That's
true. People all the time are learning how to play better Texas Hold'em poker, and I mean, it's been such an explosion all over the world. In the UK as well. I mean, I imagine a large number of our viewers are here in the UK, because that would make sense. And it's become a huge pastime here. So if there's anything that you want to know, however basic or however advanced, feel free to get in touch, because that is why we're here. Nick is here as your expert. Ask the expert. Ask Nick.
I am your servant.
Ah, isn't that lovely? He's here to serve you tonight.
I am here to serve, giving a bit back.
To the community at large.
From which I've taken so much.
Ah, yes. And he has.
Yeah, but a little bit at a time.
True. A pound here, a pound there.
That's it. Well, this is a $50 tournament, which is very exciting.
I think it is, because that's quite a lot of money to win.
Too right. We've got $400 in the prize pot, so $200 for the winner. Not bad for half an hour's work, is it?
Not bad at all. Frantic's hoping that winner's going to be him, and at the moment he is the chip leader.
He is, and there's your stalker making jam, or my stalker, we don't know which yet.
Yeah, if he's watching, how did he know? Did we say that?
Don't ask that.
Okay.
That's the one thing you don't do. You ignore them, don't you, with a stalker?
Sorry.
But yeah, making jams, welcome along. And FKA's a regular player, Enigma's a regular player. I've seen El Pig before. So a whole bunch of regulars, which is nice to see. And we'd love to hear from all of you before, during or after the game. Before's going to be tricky. During or after the game, guys, do get in touch, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk.
That's right. And Frantic is just raking the chips in. Raking them in.
Yeah, an easy game at the moment and being dealt a nice pair.
Right, a pair of jacks against Jacali's 2-3 offsuit, which I'm guessing, yeah, he's going to throw away, and that's the right thing to do.
Well, I think making Frantic, sorry, should have raised a little bit more there.
You think so? That's
I do.
Over 10 times the big blind.
Well, Making Jam's already made it 120. So he wants to put Making Jam to a real decision. Making Jam can basically call now. Well, Making Jam's got to work, which I don't agree with. But will Frantic play? He may think Making Jam's got a stronger hand than he has. No, he does play. But Making Jam's going to regret that decision, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Needs the ace or the queen.
No, he doesn't get them. Say goodbye.
Well, ace-queen isn't strong enough to do that with, I'm afraid.
No, it's really one of those hands that looks great, but it's just not as strong as you think it is.
No, and particularly because he could argue, I mean, Making Jam may well email us. He's already emailed once, so we'd love to hear from you again, buddy, and what were you thinking there? He may well have thought he could get Frantic to throw his cards away.
Yeah.
But that was a big risk, because Frantic's re-raised, and you talked earlier about the language of bets, and when somebody re-raises you, it's a very strong move.
Yeah.
And they're basically saying they've got a strong hand. And the other factor there was that Frantic had a lot of chips. He's the chip leader. He could afford to call Making Jam's bet, lose the pot, and still be competitive. So pretty tough to get him to throw his cards away there. And so Making Jam's gone out of the tournament in the first round with ace-queen, and that is not a good use of his $50, I'm afraid.
No.
L Pig is going to double through with the ace king. Nice.
Right, a nice pair of kings there. And through the matrix, with the magic of television, we're going to check out the multi-table tournament once again and see where we are.
Where are we, Karen?
Where are we indeed? We have 26 players left, down from 279, so that is...
Carnage.
Carnage. It's just poker bodies everywhere. 4 tables are left, down from 35. The average stack is 16,000, or just over 16,000, so you can see where people on this table are in relation to the average. The chip leader is Michelle 100. That would be nice to think. There's a girl out there who's a chip leader at the moment, but as you can see, like we said at the beginning of the show, each time we've come in and checked on the multi-table tournament, there's been a different chip leader.
Yes.
So these things can change ever so quickly.
Absolutely they can. The other thing with multi-table tournaments is we see Lee 1968 go out, I'm afraid. The other thing with multi-table tournaments is that very often people that get chips in the early and middle stages are people that play a lot of hands and happen to be hitting a lot of flops, so essentially getting lucky in the short term, and quite often that catches up with them. And you'll see the stronger players come through more steadily.
Right.
Well, that's a beautiful flop for Michelle. It would be nice to have a lady winner. I don't think I've seen a lady winner of a multi-table tournament.
I don't think I have. But then it's hard to say who's a lady and who's a man. I mean, the usernames really don't give gender.
I find this... I think it's people put girls' names in, don't they, sometimes?
Sometimes
apparently.
They do, just to
That's curious,
throw
isn't
people
it?
off.
I mean, that's what they say it's for.
What, you think it's some sort of deep-seated gender
something.
confusion?
Yeah, I do think that.
Huh.
Whiskey bets all his chips, gets called by Michelle, had a lot of cards to win it with, any heart or a 6. Would have saved him, but Michelle just makes more chips, and we have a lady chip leader. We just changed tables. Well, the other one still does, and now we've gone through the matrix. That's fast and furious in the ready money round, isn't it?
Isn't it? Well, look at that. Aces against ace king. And there's a king on the board. So I think FK8 is going to be thinking his pair of aces are fantastic. Smoking Piper is going to be thinking his pair of kings with an ace kicker is just the thing to win. But it all depends on what comes up here on the river. Oh, but Smoking Piper's going all in.
Well, we didn't see the betting beforehand, obviously, so it's hard to know whether he could have got away from that or not. FK's thinking about this. I don't see how he can pass.
No.
He even has the ace of spades, so Smoking Piper did already have the flush, which would be unlucky. He's got a chance to outdraw him with another spade, so really a must call there for FK. He does it. Smoking Piper goes out. Unfortunate to run into the aces. That's the way it goes sometimes.
That's right. That's the way the poker chips fall sometimes.
Sometimes it's a bit scary when that chip comes out in your face, isn't it?
I used to think it was a china plate, and then I realised it was a chip. But it's kind of the blue and the white pattern. It seems a bit like... Anyways.
It's quite funny.
Is it?
God, it must cost a lot of plates to make their show.
Ooh, smashing everywhere.
Yeah. Be more fun for the guys in the gallery, though, wouldn't it, if they had to do that every time the
I think that'd be
shot
great,
changed,
yeah.
wouldn't it? So this is our $50 tournament. Plenty of cash at stake. And we hope you're enjoying it at home. If you're new to poker, we hope you're picking up and following along.
That's right, we're in the second stage of the tournament. You can tell because the blinds have gone up to 20 and 40. They would have started at 10-20. And we've already lost 2 players. So for the early stages of a tournament, that's actually a bit surprising.
Yeah.
'Cause generally, you know, it does take a little while, doesn't it? People tend to play a bit, slower and, you know, more tight.
Well, certainly at the $50 level, well, you still get some bad play no matter how much money you're playing for, but it becomes less prevalent the more money that they are.
What becomes less prevalent?
Bad play.
Bad play, sorry, of course.
Yeah.
So is it surprising that 2 people would have gone out already?
A little bit, yeah,
okay.
a little bit. Certainly if you were in this tournament, you'd be delighted because already down to 6 and 3 of them will get paid, so that's pretty good. I'd like to also hear from anyone that's playing live this weekend, particularly if you're going to play live for the first time this weekend or in the next week. Do give us a shout. Give us an email, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk, if you're worried about playing live or it's your first time, or if you're going to play in a multi-table tournament on the internet maybe for the first time. we'd like to hear from you too.
Yeah, I quite fancy a live game myself.
Have you not had one yet?
No, not a live game. Not since I was, not for years.
Really?
Yeah, I've never played a live game.
Oh, we have to fix that.
Well, I know.
Crikey, I didn't know that.
No? Well,
seriously?
No, definitely. I want to play
Don't
a live
worry,
game.
Making Jam will tell you where we're going. You get there before us and set up your cameras, it'll be fine. No, well, we'll definitely get you a live game. A live game is great.
Yeah, I think I'd quite enjoy that because I'm not a great player, which I'm not, obviously, and when I'm playing in either a cash game or a tournament online, I have a tendency to play too many hands because I do just get bored.
Yes.
Letting it go around and around and around.
Right.
And so my starting standards aren't terribly high. So maybe in a live game there'd be more there to kind of keep my attention focused.
Toasty rack.
Toasty rack.
Wash your rack out or something. Crumbs.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, a bit late, but...
Still.
Yeah. Better than
Crumbs.
nothing.
I like it. Oh, crumbs.
J.A. Callie will probably take this one. And after that initial burst of activity with two players going out, we're a little bit calmer here at the $50 table. This is how they're playing, and as you can see, they're all playing in a reasonably controlled manner. I think you could almost argue that Enigma is playing too tight.
Right. Okay, so 87%. What's a good percentage then for?
Well, there's only
holding
5 players left. I mean, let me say it's not representative because they've only played a few hands.
Yeah.
But if playing 5-handed, if you're playing 8 or 10-handed, you'd probably be aiming about playing about 15% of your hands. So playing 5-handed, that should be up to about maybe 20-25%. But it does start to depend on the tournament situation. Also, it depends on the other players. If the other players are playing tight, you should probably play more hands because it probably means their blinds are up for grabs. So it does depend on the lineup you're facing. But certainly when you get down to 5 players, you want to be playing more hands, no question. Because there's blinds out there to be gotten.
This is true. This is absolutely true. So we've got to take a look at the chip stacks when we go back to the game. Keep an eye on the fact that, and here we go with percentage of played hands won as well. And use these statistics to take a look at exactly how people are doing.
Our second set of 3s in about 8 minutes.
Yeah. Well, Enigma, he was playing quite tight, and he's actually sort of in the middle, if you're taking a look at chip stacks.
I was talking about a 5-handed game. There's actually 6 players, so apologies for that. But obviously, you guys at home would have picked up on the fact that it's a sliding scale. The fewer players there are, the more hands you want to play.
Yeah.
Frantic's got the bottom pair. LP's got absolutely nothing. Except a pretty amusing name.
I like the name LPig. It's quite
I
fun.
do, it's cool, yeah. No worries. Not as good as Toast Rack, obviously.
Oh, well, no, but I didn't think up Toast Rack.
No, exactly, you had the viewers' help. And our viewers are brilliant.
They are brilliant, and I like Toast Rack.
Oh, yeah, no, it's cool.
Crumbs.
Crumbs.
Crivens. Crikey.
Do you know, have you ever had one of those moments as an adult where somebody says something that's really obvious, but in your head you go, I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
And I probably should have known that when I was 6. Somebody said in conversation the other day, well, not my conversation, obviously I'm not lucky enough to have them.
Speaking with
outside
other people
work,
normally,
no, I was
yes, of course,
listening
fair enough, yeah.
in a bar. And they said, I can remember when I was young and I used to think that the crust was better for you on the bread, when of course it's just the outside of the loaf that's cooked differently in the oven. And in my head I went, oh, I thought the crust was better for you. So honestly, I thought the crust was better for you. I'm not very bright.
Wow. Have you ever made your own bread?
No.
See, this is the problem with youth today.
My mum used to help me. My mum used to let me knead the bread. And we used to pretend, because you have to beat it, don't you? And she used to make me pretend it was estate agents. Because she hated estate agents, and our house was on the market for a year when I was about 6. So I used to beat it up.
Sweet.
Well, beautiful story, isn't
It
it?
really is. That's lovely. That's quite funny.
So I have made bread.
Okay, so I was going to say that, you know, that's the problem with youth today. They don't do things for themselves like making bread. Therefore, you don't know things like, well, it's just cooked differently because it's on the outside.
Yeah.
But you did know that, so yes,
Thank
that
you
is
for,
quite
thank
sad.
you for referring to me as the youth of today. That's heartwarming.
It is heartwarming, yeah. The youth of today. Well, you've got such a youthful outlook on life. That youthful optimism.
Yes. Clearly you've read my online dating profile. Pair of queens for Snowblind. Our brave adventurer. And Frantic, who had lots of chips early, exactly what we're talking about. He does play a lot of hands, Frantic.
Yes.
And sometimes when you play a lot of hands, those hands can turn out great. And you can have a run and you can get some chips and maybe even you'll win a tournament. But if you keep playing that way, I'm afraid that's losing poker and you will not be a winner overall.
Yes, and poker is about the long game.
It is.
Yeah, you got to think about how something would turn out if you've done it. Maybe 1,000 times, 100,000 times over the course of your life.
Yes. Pair of queens for LP. And that's good enough. And it's all gone very quiet after the two initial bits of dead wood got cut out.
It has, hasn't it?
I shouldn't refer to them as that. They, you know,
They did their best.
they did. And that's all we can do in life. I hate that. I hate when people say, I did my best. That's all I can do.
Well, it wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good
and
enough.
I feel bad for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if that's your best, then you're doomed. All right.
Well, LP's got 9-10 on the button. But doesn't want to play it, interestingly enough. Thought that might be worth a little raise, try and get those blinds, but obviously not his style. It's Friday night, isn't it?
It is Friday night.
Does that mean we're all going out after this?
Too right.
Cool.
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 Excellent. We're all dressed up and everything already.
Yes. Yes. I'm all ready to complete a major business meeting. I'm sure I'll find one in London at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it is London, I'm sure. If we look hard enough,
No problem.
we'll just head for the business district.
Cool. I hope you're having fun this Friday night if you're at home, or we are sometimes watched in pubs, I'm understanding. Uh-huh.
Are we really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. Huh.
I mean,
Do they turn the sound
They
down?
put a bit of drum and bass behind
Yeah, I
it.
was going to say.
I do hope you're having fun. I hope you're enjoying the games. We've had some good games so far, and this is shaping up to be a good one, our $50 one-table tournament. And the players are all playing quite cagey, quite tight. And the thing about that is, at some point, the blinds are going to kick in. And at some point, they're going to be forced to make a decision. Now, if I was sitting at this table, I would be very tempted to start trying to steal some chips. Because all of the players are playing, in quotes, correctly.
Right.
They're playing quite tight, and there's every chance that they can be bullied out of hands, because it's the kind of situation where none of them want to make a mistake.
Yeah.
So it's worth taking a couple of risks. If those plays go badly wrong, you can always revert to playing more tightly again.
Yeah.
And still have, you know, a few hundred chips with which to go for it. But the thing is, the blinds are going to go up. And when the blinds go up and they get really big, it then becomes a case of trying to get the right cards at the right time or having a bit of luck. The higher the blinds get, the less in your control it is. So why not make some moves while it's in your control and try and steal some chips, which will do you well in the end later on in the tournament. Enigma pushes all his chips in with a pair of eights, which is the right thing to do. If he made a normal raise, he could only make it, say, 3 times the big blind. That would leave him with half his stack. He's been extremely unlucky because he's run into kings, but that doesn't mean what he did was wrong. In my opinion, he did the right thing there. But it is going to knock him out. Snowblind. Nice time to find kings when somebody else has already gone all in.
This is true. So if you had a pair of 4s there and someone had gone all in, you really wouldn't want to be calling that or re-raising it.
That's right. Pair of kings, very different ball game.
Very different ball game indeed.
Tell you what, it's not going to be too long until the final of the multi-table, is it?
I don't think it will actually be that long. Because
Very
it does seem to be
exciting.
going down very quickly. I imagine we'll be dropping back in to take a look at that at some point.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the final of one of these multi-tables, guys, stick around because nothing will help your tournament poker more than watching one. You see a number of different moves, number of different bluffs, and you'll see some people crack under the pressure as well. Some people make mistakes.
That's true enough. And if you do see anything on these tables as we're going along that prompts a question, then make sure you let us know. You can text us or email us if there's some sort of play that you don't understand.
Absolutely.
If you want to comment on something or ask a question, feel free to do that.
Or if you saw us at dinner and didn't approve of my choice of main course, please do send in some recommendations.
Yes, perhaps having an Indian before a long show together wasn't the best thing we could have done, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. It's nice.
It was good food.
Yeah.
The spinach with the little sesame seeds, that was nice.
We probably should have paid, though.
We're on telly.
We're on telly. Cool. Poker@PokerNightLive Live is the email address. .co.uk even. Poker@PokerNightLive.co.uk, isn't it?
That's right. That's where you can send the bill for dinner.
That's where you can send the bill for dinner. And any questions you have, guys, don't be shy.
That's right. Well, we have an email from Jo, who's one of our viewers, and she's asked if you could explain, because this is obviously the beginner's night, so in the sort of the most basic terms possible, what is meant by applied odds. Now, I can tell you from listening to the commentators speak about this over and over and over again, that applied odds has to do with what you're able to get from your opponent.
Oh, I've got a snuffle.
You do.
Can you excuse me for 3 seconds?
All right, you go and have your snuffle.
Oh, that must have been hideous at home. I do apologise.
You could cover your microphone.
I could have, but that would be, that wouldn't be keeping it real, would it?
Fair enough.
It's not, Cara. Don't let me snuffle on air.
Well, you're going to do it anyways, aren't you?
That's true.
Like, I can stop you.
J.A. Kelly, very nice move. King 4, terrible hand, of course. He's not playing the cards, he's playing his position. He's in last position. He knows there's a good chance he can pick up those blinds for nothing, and he needs to take some risks because he's low on chips. So I approve. Good aggressive play.
And it worked.
And it worked. And if he does get called, it's not the end of the world. He could still win. He'll probably be the underdog, but he's still in with a shout. So that's the advantage of aggressive poker. Applied odds. Well, they're actually called. It's actually implied odds.
Implied odds.
But I suspect we're all talking about the same thing, as we're going to see sevens versus ace. Look at that frantic stop the flush. That's a rare beast.
That is. Another heart comes down, though. Oh. They both have the flush, only Frantic would have the nut flush.
Yeah, Frantic was unbeatable there, except for some bizarre 2 sevens in a row. Could have beaten him, but he was in a pretty strong spot.
Big winner.
And he needed it as well. That was his tournament on the line. Still 5 players. What are we talking about? Implied odds? Crikey. Can I play my joker?
Crivens.
In order to explain implied odds, I kind of have to explain pot odds, and it's all a little bit long-winded. Do you want me to do that?
Well,
it's your show.
I think
it's your show. You've got to listen to it.
If you commentators are going to use phrases like implied odds...
When did you hear me say implied odds? That's scandalous. I'm certainly not being responsible.
Look at you with your
I'm certainly
hands in
not
the
being
air.
responsible for what the other commentators say. Christ.
Excuse me.
I'll happily explain it. Here we go. Implied odds. The odds that you get from the pot are your pot odds, surprisingly enough. So what that means is, if there is $100 in the pot, and the bet will cost you $10 to call, then the price of that bet is 10 to 1, or the odds of reward from the pot are 10 to 1. Now, I would say this is supposed to be beginner's night, so if you don't follow this, please don't worry. You certainly don't have to understand this in order to have a good time and play basic poker. This is something that will come a few months in. But those are the odds of reward from the pot. Implied odds, exactly as the name suggests, are the odds that are implied, the odds that could come to you through future action in the hand. Okay?
Right.
So the odds that are available right now in the moment that you make the bet would be 10 to 1.
Yeah.
But let's say in that same pot there's 100 there, and I have a hand that I'm trying to improve. So let's say I have 4 cards to a flush, and I'm trying to get the last card to make my flush. And you have, let's say, 2 pair. So at the moment you're beating me, but if I get my flush, I'll beat you.
Right.
I have assessed that you will pay me off, as it's known. You will call my bet if I make my flush. So my implied odds would involve however much money you would pay me once I've made my flush.
Right.
I know this is potentially a bit difficult to follow. So what we're saying is, the true reflection of the price I'm getting on my bet is not just what's in the middle right now, but what my opponent, my opponents, will put in the middle on future streets.
Right.
So it's implied. They don't actually exist in the moment we make their bet, but they are implied.
It's like a projection of what you could win.
It's a projection of what you could win. And for that reason, it's something that should be handled with care.
Right.
Because if you're wrong about future action, then you've made your calculation wrongly, and you may have called a bet you shouldn't have called. Also, the other slight problem is, let's say that it is that situation where you have 2 pair and I have a flush draw. I could make my flush draw, but your 2 pair could improve into a full house.
Right.
If you get a card that makes one of your pair 3 of a kind.
Yeah.
So I would have made my flush, but I would still be losing. In which case, my implied odds were a mirage, because I had no future expectation, because I was going to lose the hand. So it's an advanced subject. I think that's all the detail that we should do on it right now. Because
That's fair enough.
it is, if you're new to poker or you wish to poker, it is something that you don't need to know in order to play well. But we appreciate the email and the question. I hope that's given you an introduction to it. If you want to know more, and if you're at that point in your game, which sounds like, was it Janet?
Joe.
Joe, excuse me, Joe. If you're at that point in your game, I would thoroughly recommend... Say what?
Watch the pro night.
Oh, watch the pro night, yeah. Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, I'll be on.
Blinding.
With another pro. And we'll be talking about professional concepts.
Ooh, get you.
Not any more professionally than this, but we will talk about them. And if you can't wait till then, or anyway, I would recommend that you go and buy The Theory of Poker, which is a book by David Sklansky, which is the Bible for understanding the fundamentals of the game. And that has the best, clearest, most complete explanation of implied odds that you'll find. So I would thoroughly recommend that you go and get that book. But also, of course, as Kara rightly says, watch Pro Night. These are money winners. LPIG, Snowblind and FKA are all in the money in this $50 tournament, so well played to them.
Okay, so we're going to go and take another look at our multi-table tournament and see how people are getting on. Now, as it stands at the moment, we've got 14 players left, and that makes up 2 tables. So that's why you can see we've got 7 on each table. And these are the final few. The chip leader is still Michelle 100, as it was the last time. So well done, Michelle 100. 85,000 chips there. The average stack is just under 30,000 chips. So you can see where people are in relation to the average stack as well.
Kara, say you go, girl.
Like you go, girl.
Cool.
You like that?
Yeah, brilliant.
Thanks. I'm so street.
and at one with the ladies.
Oh yeah, girl power.
Sisters and all that, isn't it? Yeah, very exciting to have a female player. And one of the big differences between online poker and live poker, in that I'm losing the ability to talk, which many of you may be applauding right now. Snuffle-tastic. Excuse me, boys and girls. Another one for Michelle. One of the big differences is, as we go back to our... Crikey, it's a bit rapid, isn't it? We go back to our single table, 3 players, and Snowblind stays alive. Very competitive here.
Very competitive.
I think live poker is still well under 5% of players are live players are female.
But under 5%?
The last statistic I heard, which admittedly was 6 months ago, and it may have changed, was something like 3 or 4% of live players are female.
Whoa.
But online, some sites is up to 35-40% are female.
Huh. Why do you think that is?
Live poker is a very male environment. I think that it will just take a bit of time for female players to get the confidence they need to go and sit. But it will be like there will be a tipping point when at some point
the floodgates will open and women will pour into live poker.
Absolutely. There's certainly more live female players than when I started. As we see LPIG get the queen on the end, and that's going to be enough to knock out FKA.
Ouch.
Yeah, that was a bit of an ouch. He was ahead until that point. Well, heads up, LPIG versus Snowblind. And LP with the chip advantage. I think we'd like to hear from female viewers, wouldn't we?
I would. Certainly.
Have you played live? Have you played in the male environment?
What do you think of that? Did it encourage you to do it more, or did you decide that really live play just wasn't for you and you're going to stick to the internet? I'd be quite curious to hear that.
Absolutely, and how did you get into poker as well? L Pig is our winner. Look at that, Cara.
Hey, well done, L Pig.
We like the name and we like the play.
We do indeed.
$200. Can you imagine
Get
that?
in.
Just for a bit of fun on the internet.
Fantastic. And look at that.
Yeah.
Pretty colours.
And as you can see, befitting of a good player, L Pig, a pretty consistent progression. When he got some chips reasonably early in the tournament, he sat on them basically and waited for his moment and then did the business at the end. Well played.
Well played indeed. Wow, we've got a few emails here to catch up on as well.
Thank you.
Now, if you've been watching, you would recall that I felt I wasn't quite sure why Making Jam knew that we were out for dinner together, and I was sure we hadn't commented on it, but now it's all become clear, because Making Jam has sent in another email and says, "Hello again. No, I wasn't the waiter. Considering I live in the west of Ireland, it would be quite a commute." Well, fair enough. But Toastrack that would be me. Toastrack was playing coy with Cass on Wednesday and did mention to him that she was going to dinner with Nick on Friday. That's true, I did, didn't I? It says, you can argue amongst yourself about who Cass would be more jealous of, yours again. Actually, I think he'd be more jealous of me, because when I said I was going out for dinner with Nick, he seemed a bit tearful. But that's just my opinion on that.
Everyone wants a piece of the action.
A piece of the Nick. There you go.
So is that a bit creepy?
It's all right, because Cassie didn't even buy me dinner, so I wouldn't be too jealous.
I didn't buy you dinner. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous concept.
Just two mates going for dinner.
I bought you a drink afterwards.
No, that was free. That was on the house.
That's why I told him to say. I didn't want you to feel, pressurised in any way, shape or form.
Certainly, right. Well, should we do one more email and then go to a game?
Okay, is it about dinner?
No.
Great. Then I think, we should do it. Is it about poker?
It's about poker, indeed.
What are the odds?
Wow.
Let's do it.
What are the implied odds of that?
Good.
All right, thank you. Right, this is an email. Don't be patronising.
Why?
This is an email because.
Sorry, that's the end of the patronising.
Right. Great show as usual from Lord Sam. I would really like your views on high-stake cash tables. I was watching the other night and was quite amazed at the poor standard of play. I watched one man reload $20,000 7 times and lose it all to the same player. Oh my God. Is it a case of more money than sense and they're just playing for the buzz? Also, what intrigued me was how many small stack players who try and take on the big stack players. Some of them would double up or even treble up, but in the end would lose it all to that one hand that the big stack player needs to clean them out. I'd appreciate your views on these high stakes tables. Right, high stakes tables. Have you ever played at one, Nick?
Yeah, it wasn't my best night, that, if I'm honest. 140, quite a lot. That is a lot of money to lose at anything, isn't it? Crikey, and that's like getting head over the head. You should learn at some point, shouldn't you? 7 rebuys is a lot. High stakes games are a funny thing to watch because you will run into a lot of excellent players. It goes without saying, you'll run into a lot of professional players, a lot of very, very serious people who do this for a living and do it very well. And you shouldn't obviously be playing on those in those games unless you are a very good player yourself. Or unless you're stupidly rich, which is the other side to high-stakes games. You get people who have lots and lots of cash and get a buzz out of gambling some of it. And it is gambling in those cases. Poker is not a gambling game, it's a game of skill. But if you're just somebody that's got a lot of money and you're playing in a high-stakes game because you want to chance your arm with the best players in the world, and that's what we're talking about online at that level, getting up there anyway, then you're gambling. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you get your kicks and you can afford the money, nothing wrong with that at all. But they are funny to watch. And they also, as Lord Sam says, you also will get people buying in for the minimum because what they're doing is they're taking a run at the game, basically. They're hoping to buy in for a small amount. We talked about implied odds earlier. Implied odds exist in one hand. They also exist in a global sense, in that if you're facing people with a lot of money in front of them, and you've got a little amount of money in, you have actually got implied odds that you could grow, as Amarillo Slim used to say, turn it from a toothpick into a lumberyard. You've got that potential. But Lord Sam, please don't be deceived. Because you see bad play in high-stakes games does not mean that the high-stakes games are full of bad play. You will find the best players playing at the highest limits because their good players won the money and they move up the limits. And you should not be competing there if you're playing for profit until you are an excellent player yourself and until you've won the bankroll to play there. Unless you're ludicrously rich, in which case I can be reached at the PokerZone studios. All donations accepted, no problems.
That's just scandalous.
Scandalous. But you get, I mean, I was lucky enough to talk to some of the best players in the world when I lived in Vegas, and all of them said that they get awful players in their games. And I'm talking, you know, $300,000, $500,000 on the table. They still get players that are as bad as, you know, the worst players that we see in the small cash games. Because that's the great thing about poker. Entry into poker games is not based on ability, it's based on whether you've got the cash. So you will see mixed standards at every game.
Yep, that's absolutely true. It's just at the larger tables with the larger money, obviously the big mistakes are going to be more prominent. You're going to remember someone losing or reloading $20,000 a few times, and you wouldn't remember maybe at a small, you know, $1 or $2 table people doing that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm about to say.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
That is a good night out.
From a big amount of money to a small amount of money, I think we're going to go and take a look at a 50-cent $1 game I was informed.
Oh, okay, lovely.
I believe.
Let's have a look.
And there it is.
And there it is, as promised. Johan Harren slowly ratcheting up the cash. Very solid player. He's up to $180. Just to refresh your memories, at this table you can buy in for $100. That's your maximum. So Johan Harren has made a profit of at least $80.70 on his initial buy-in. Good for him. Share the wealth, Johan.
Share the wealth.
Share the wealth. He's unlikely to share it with me, isn't he? I've just figured that out.
Well, yeah.
We might have an interesting confrontation here because Johan Harren has King-Queen suited on the button, and I'm sure he'll make a little raise. And as we can see, Poker God is sitting there with Ace-King. So he may re-raise. There is the raise. Poker God just calls. Interesting decision. And now you might see the power of position, because we haven't talked about position yet. We'll talk about it more during the night. Poker God checks. Johan Harren bets. Poker God calls. And now Johan Harren's picked up a straight draw. A 9 or an ace would make him a straight, so he may bet again. Yep, that's strong play, very strong play, and very difficult for Poker God to call. And he doesn't. Well, look at that, Kara. Strong, aggressive play, which we've already talked about. That coupled with the power of position. The later you act, the better off you are in poker. And Johan Harren won that hand with the worst hand. If you're new to poker, if you've just been playing a couple of months, I hope you're paying attention to that hand, because that told you all you need to know about being a good player. You weren't watching. You were reading the emails.
I was reading the emails.
Well, our viewers were paying slightly better attention, Kara, all right?
All right. Excuse me, Professor Wealthall.
I quite like that. I mean, I know it's sarky and quite hostile, but it's quite a nice title.
Feel the hostility badge. But you are right, I was actually listening and paying attention.
Yes.
Power of position is very important because it's the information that you've got on the rest of the table in that hand. If you can tell what people are representing their hands to be, it gives you a lot more power. Yeah,
and also, of course, you can see weakness. That's one of the biggest things. If you watch this show regularly, one of the things that you will notice, which probably won't be as apparent just from playing, is that when players check, which is the option you can take if there's been no betting in the round, you can check, you keep your cards, but you don't have to pay anything. When players check, a large percentage of the time, I would say 80, in some games getting up to 90% of the time, those players are weak. So the check means exactly what it looks like it means. It's not a trick, it's not a trap, it's very rarely that. It's very often the fact they don't have anything. So if you are in late position, if you're the last person to act in a betting round and everybody else, be that one player or 2 or 3 players, is checked, very often you can bet regardless of your cards and stand a very good chance of winning the hand there and then. The more players in the pot, the less you should do that, of course, but checks tend to mean weakness. So that is one of the key ways that you can use position to your advantage. Absolutely. Position is very, very important. Bear that in mind, Toasty. you'll go far.
Oh, cheers for that. Crumbs, in fact.
Crumbs.
Crumbs. Well, it's not just me that is inquiring about the power of position, but it's also the viewers out there. I've
Absolutely.
got a question for you on basically this subject in a nutshell.
Fire at will.
Right. This is from Simon, aka Iceberger. Iceberger says, "Hi guys, great show. I've been watching this show and indeed playing poker for about 5 months. I play in $1-2 cash games. I've recently purchased Poker Tracker and I find it really helpful. I have over 5,000 hands logged and the stats show that my biggest losing position is a small blind, as I would expect. I always seem to get dragged into pots with marginal hands from this position, and I know that it's a weak part of my game. The surprise for me is that my number 2 losing position is from the button. I've been replaying hands on the software and I can't put my finger on why this is. Have you got any thoughts which could help me improve this area of my game? I'm currently a break-even player after losing for the first 3 months of playing, and I feel this is the major reason why." So he's losing on the button. That's his second biggest losing position. Why would that be?
Well, the first thing, I'll just go back one step, which is the small blind, where you said you're losing money. You used a very interesting phrase, which is, I keep getting dragged into pots. Who's doing that to you? That's not fair, is it? I'm being flippant, but I'm making a serious point, which is nobody's making you play from the small blind. I suspect what you'll be doing is what a lot of people do after they've been playing a few months, which is when the action gets to you in the small blind, you've got okay-ish cards, and it only costs you another $1 or whatever it is, half a bet to get into the pot. But that extra tiny bet can turn into a big loss in the hand if you get dragged into the hand and dragged into an unpleasant scenario. So just play less hands from the small blind. That is one of the biggest money-saving, money-winning tips I can give you and anyone else out there that hasn't been playing too long. The small blind is a horrible place to play from. You're playing from the worst position for the rest of the hand, so you should only enter pots when it's a really, really good situation. So yeah, I think we'll talk about play on the button, some tips for that after the break. It's interesting that you're losing from there. You shouldn't be. We'll come back to that after the break, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. The power of position is a good way to start the second half of our show. We're about to go for a break now, but make sure you stay tuned because there's lots more poker information to come, isn't there?
There is.
Absolutely, just
I can't believe we're halfway through.
A plethora of information.
Amazing.
Stay tuned. We'll be
Stay
right
with us.
back. Hello and welcome back to Poker Night Live. It's the second half of the show here on a Friday night.
I can't believe it's halfway. That's gone so fast.
It really has, actually.
Cool.
It's because you're here with me. Time is flying.
The A-team.
Oh, it's the A-team.
In effect.
Bring it
In
on.
effect. Hope you're having a good Friday night, guys. We do hope you are.
It's the beginning of the
Kicking
weekend.
back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Come on.
Great way to start the weekend with a bit of poker. Why not? Get in there, learn a bit, play a bit, have a bit of fun.
I imagine that some of them are playing a little home game.
Ah.
Perhaps a few drinks, a
In your
few friends
imagination.
round. Poker Night Live on in the background.
Oh.
I know it's happening. Shout out. And if that is happening, we'd love to hear from you. Are you having a home game at the moment? poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Let us know what's going on, and we'll give you a special shout out if you do.
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So if you are playing a home game, let us know, and we'll do the shout out. We've already shouted out to our parents. Give us someone else to shout out to, because I think it makes us look a bit sad otherwise, really.
Do you?
No? Right.
It looks like we've got the multi-table final table, Kara.
I know, so we need to get straight into that. We will come back to your emails soon, but for now, let's do some multi-table.
Brilliant. I love these final tables. Can I have my glasses back?
Okay.
Here we go. This is the final of a multi-table tour. We started off with 270 something, was it? Something like that.
We started off with, I believe, 279
Wow.
multi-table tournament
So
players.
these 8 players have beaten 270 players. What are they playing for, Kara?
They are playing for, first prize is $837. That's pretty good, actually. There are,
It
I
is,
believe...
for $10. It's extraordinary.
Absolutely. And there's 30 places paid, because depending on the multi-table tournament that you enter, a different number of places are paid. Sometimes it's only the top 20. In this case, it's the top 30. So we've already lost quite a few players. Anyone from the 21st to the 30th player who all went out there would have had $19.53, so just under $20. And at the moment, the next person to go out will be in 8th place, and they'll go home with just under $70. But if you stay on to the end, 837. So you really do want to stay.
You really do.
You really do.
This is the business end. If you get this final multi-table tournament, it won't happen that often, and you want to make the most of it. Andrew's been dealt the aces, and he's decided just to limp with them, which is a risk.
It is a risk, because you're letting other people in cheaply, and they may actually outdraw you on the flop.
That's right.
That's true.
And Beck's just got a nice flop. Now, it depends how much Andrew bet is. And Andrew's check, that's awful.
Really?
That's awful. There's 4 other players in the pot. Somebody is bound to have a little bit of something.
Yeah.
And he's given them a free card to try and improve their hand. Now, he's got lucky here. Beck's just saved him because Beck's just bet, and now Andrew can raise, which I presume is his plan, yeah. Now, if Baxter hadn't bet, Andrew would have been in a terrible mess in this hand. As it is, I imagine he's going to call here. He does, and Baxter needs a heart. It doesn't happen, and Andrew wins a big pot.
Really big pot. 117,000 chips.
17,000. Took a big risk, and it paid off for him.
But it may not have, so it's a bit of a scary move, that one.
Well, with that many players in the pot, it is a mistake, no question. It's one of those things where you take the gamble. I happen to believe that if you keep taking that gamble, it's not actually a winning play.
Right.
But he took it on this occasion, and it came off for him.
Mm-hmm. So there you go, multi-table action.
Multi-table action.
It can be difficult to predict.
And you pay your money and take your choice. If you want to take a risk like that, you have to understand that you're taking a risk by playing the aces slowly.
Yeah.
And the key question is, if everybody checked round and then another heart came, or a card that made a straight came, could Andrew then have put the aces down? Because that's what we didn't find out. Because that's when players get into trouble with aces, when they play them slowly and then they can't give them up when they're obviously beaten. So yeah, but on that occasion, big pot.
Yeah, so well done to him. Well, right before the break as well, we were reading through an email talking about how to play on the button. Now we had a player, Simon Iceberger, was saying that it was the second position where he was losing the most, and you did say you were going to come back to that and say a bit about playing on the button.
Oh yeah. You shouldn't be losing money on the button. It should be your most profitable position. The first thing to say is, you've got a 5,000 hand sample. That may not be representative. You should be starting to see trends by that many hands, but you may need to play on to find out the truth of the situation. The fact that you've emailed about it would suggest that, having done some research, you can't figure out why. There's 2 possibilities. One is you're playing too aggressively on the button. The other is you're not playing aggressively enough. It's impossible for me to say which it is because I can't see your results of your hands, obviously. So let me give you both and you can figure it out from there. The first possibility is that you are playing too aggressively from the button. So you're getting all excited about the fact that you're in last position and you're betting too much and bluffing too much. The thing to remember is the more players that are in the pot, the harder it is to get a bluff or a semi-bluff to work. So even if you're on the button, you should be wary. If there's more than 2 opponents, you should think very carefully before you actually make a bluff, even from the button. So you may be doing that too much, particularly, I don't know what limits you're playing at, I can't remember what you said, but it doesn't matter. If you're playing at low limits, then players will call you more. They'll call with hands like middle pair, they'll check and call. So the bet on the button with nothing won't work as well. So that's one possibility. The second possibility is that it's the opposite. You're not taking advantage of your position enough. So in situations where you're either heads up or with 2 opponents, you're not making those bluffs and those bets from the button position that the position allows you to make. So those are 2 possibilities as to why you're not doing so well from the button as you should. And as I said, without seeing your results, I don't know which is true. But you need to take a look with that information in mind. I hope that helps you out. If you take that information, have a look, that should fix it for you. If it doesn't, send us another email and we'll think again. And you could even send in some examples of what's going wrong. But hopefully that'll help you out.
Okay.
Was that interesting?
I think it was.
Helpful.
It's exactly what I asked you to talk about, and I appreciate you sticking to the topic.
What were the chances? I feel I'm learning.
I think we're all learning here.
It's one big Friday night education.
Yeah.
That's what I want
like
on a Friday
happy
night.
Family.
A big learning sesh.
Yes, right. Then I think we're ready to go back to the final table, the multi-table tournament, because we did have a bit of a glitch. So let's go back and take a look and see what the state of play is. Right, there we go. We are looking at the final table of our multi-table tournament. The blinds are up to 1,500, 3,000, so they're very high. But as you can see, the chip stacks are quite high as well.
They are. Everyone's quite competitive. And Michelle, who's been in the lead for some time, is still right up there. Second chip position. I have a sneaking suspicion that we've jumped back in time.
I think we might have. I was feeling a bit deja vu.
Either that, I'm just getting really bored of sitting next to you.
Oh, nice.
Which is impossible.
Uh-huh.
Which is impossible.
Sure.
If you are paying attention, if you're paying attention at home, you will have seen these hands before.
This is true.
But this will help your learning.
It's so exciting that we're showing it to you again.
Do you think we can sell that?
I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see Andrew play his aces again, which will be interesting. That is interesting, all right?
Yeah, sorry, it was, yeah.
Yeah. I hope you're enjoying the multi-table, guys, even though you're getting to see a little bit of it. It's only a little bit, promise, and then we'll be on to fresh new action.
But enjoy it as it lasts, because it's quite exciting.
Baxter makes the move with the ace-queen. Little does he know the perils that await him in a couple of minutes.
But we know. Right, I think it is about time to go back to some emails, personally.
Okay.
So let's take a look. Let's see. We were looking at the one earlier, talking about position, and I think we're going to switch topics now. And we're going to be talking about odds, because I know that's so your favorite topic.
No, I like a bit of odds.
Oh, good. All right,
Oh,
then.
yes.
Good. Okay. Well, this is from Trevor, a.k.a. Garrick9. Says, hi there. Love the show. Nick, if you're any funnier, it would hurt. Yeah, it's killing me, I'll tell you that.
I can't. Why is that? Look, Trevor sent in a lovely compliment.
Sorry.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. And you've brought hostility to it.
Okay. Sorry.
Just enjoy it.
All right,
All right.
fine. Nick, if you were any funnier, it would hurt me too. How's that?
I think I've got problems
Yeah, I think you might do.
with the in-studio team.
Ooh. Is there a bit of hostility, bit of tension?
Not for me. I'm fine. I'm having a lovely time.
So am I.
Okay, well, let's carry on. What's
Okay,
Trevor's question?
fine. Been playing for a couple of months now. $1 and $2 limit, trying to figure out the odds for this mighty game of poker. What's the best way to learn them? Thanks very much. P.S. Kara is a fox. Now, considering that in this country foxes are considered vermin and you hunt them
Kara,
with dogs.
Please don't. that is such a female thing to do.
What?
Just accept the compliment. In
Thank
the way
you,
that I
Trevor.
accepted Trevor's lovely compliment.
Sorry.
Just, he's trying
Thank
to
you.
do a
That
nice
is
thing.
very sweet.
Yes.
It just made me a bit shy, and so I
Sorry,
was making
Trevor.
a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. I understand, but this is a problem for females.
Is it in general?
It is
Are you
in general.
generalizing?
You can't compliment. Guys,
You're generalizing through the whole gender.
Guys, tell me I'm right. You email in poker@pokernightllive.co.uk. Compliment a woman, and she'll go, "This is the most frustrating one. Your hair looks lovely." Well, what are you saying normally looks like? Or you look really good today. Or what did I look like yesterday? It's that kind of.
Yeah, usually. You must look like a sack of garbage then.
It's a lovely gift that us chaps are giving to you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was
That's
just
no
making it
problem.
funny.
Odds.
Thank you, Trevor. That's awfully
Odds.
sweet. Go to the odds.
Odds. Trevor, is there any chance you could ask me a more specific question as to what you're struggling to understand? I'll give you a general minute on odds, but you've asked me a really, really big question, as in how do I understand odds? I'll give you some pointers to learning them, but if there's an area of it that's particularly bothering you, this goes to the rest of you guys, then do ask a specific question and makes it easier for us. But how do you learn odds? Well, there are some odds that come up in poker that are recurring. So the odds of making a flush, for example, is just under, if you've got 4 cards on the flop, the odds of making a flush by the river are just under 2 to 1. And those situations come up again and again and again. So you can learn some odds by rote. And if you go onto the internet or if you buy a good poker book, they will have the commonly occurring odds set out. It's better to learn the underlying principles because then you have the knowledge that you can figure out any situation in your own time, for example, away from the table. And then once it becomes sort of part of your innate knowledge, you can pretty much get the odds, you know, in any situation while you're making a decision. That's the level you're trying to get to. I'm struggling because I don't know which way to attack this because there's so much on odds. The basic way to work them out is that poker's a mathematical game. It's a completely pure game because it's always played with the same 52 cards. So we know the chances of any one card coming out are 52 to 1. So that's the basis on which we're working. So say you can use this at any point in the hand. Say you have your 2 cards in your hand and the flops come out. Well, you can see 5 cards, which means there's 47 cards that you can't see. So you would work out the number of cards that you need to help you win, divide that into 47, and you've got your chance of hitting a card that will win the hand in the next card. So that is the basic principle on which we work. So those are the odds of hitting cards. The pot odds we talked about earlier, that's another aspect to the game, which is the odds of reward from the pot. So as the example I gave earlier, say there's a pot of $100 and the bet is 10 for you to call, well then the pot would be offering you 10 to 1. If you stood to win, let's say, on that bet, for example, you would stand to win the pot 10 to 1, so you would need a proposition that was a better chance of occurring, let's get this the right way round, than that 10 to 1. So for example, if you had the flush draw we just talked about, which is 2 to 1, then obviously you would call because the odds of getting your flush are 2 to 1, the odds of reward from the pot are 10 to 1. I think I'm going to stop now. Because I'm rambling and there are so many different aspects to odds in poker, it's such a big question. I've just given you a flavour. My advice to you for you would be to look on the internet and get the typical poker odds and learn those down pat, and get a good poker book, for example, The Theory of Poker, and that will give you a really good underlying understanding of odds. If there's something you don't understand that's specific, then come back to us. Send in another email tonight or another night. Goes for all of you, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Any specific questions on odds, happy to deal with them. How bad was that?
I think that's a lovely answer.
Do you think that's a lovely answer?
I
It was
do.
just rambling. Because
No,
it's
see,
such a...
I've given you a compliment, and and he's just fobbed it off.
She's right. Thank you for that lovely compliment.
Thank you.
The point is that it's such a big area. There's a lot to it. But the other point to make, actually, which I should make, particularly as it's beginner's night, is please don't be turned off poker by the odds thing.
Yeah, because it can be really quite scary if you think that you need to know all of it.
Especially if you're like me and you
don't.
hated maths in school.
Exactly.
And, even David Slansky, who wrote The Theory of Poker, who's one of the top thinkers ever in poker, says that you do not have to be a maths whiz to be an expert poker player. Now, many of you won't even have the ambition of being an expert poker player. Even if you want to be an expert player, you don't need to be a maths whiz because most of the time you just need an approximation for your situation.
You'll get a feel for it.
You will totally get a feel for it. And you don't even need to know anything about odds to get the basics and sit down in a game. Especially if you're playing with me, I'd encourage you to know nothing. That's perfect. But no, do stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have more on it tonight and in other nights as well. Absolutely.
Right, and now, after that wonderful answer, and your hair looks lovely as well, we're going to go back to the multi-table tournament to see what's going on.
Very funny.
Thanks.
Here we go. So this is more or less where we left off, isn't it? Andrew has taken that big pot off Baxter with his aces. Baxter's flush never came. Radagast has hit 3 jacks, which is a great hand to hit, especially when you're about to go out of the tournament. That saved him. Good news. Radagast 67, so I'm going to guarantee you that that is a Lord of the Rings fan who is...
67?
No, born in 67, so how old does that make him? 38.
Yeah?
Yeah. 38 years old. Am I right, Radagast 67?
Yeah, it would be 38.
I know you're quite busy trying to win a tournament or anything, but have I got have I got your name explanation correct? Let me know.
Okay, remind me, Radagast was who?
He was a wizard.
Really? What
Yes, he was not
I
in
know
the
the Lord of the
films.
Rings. Well, I didn't. I read all the books a million
Get
times.
cross about it.
Good God. What do you think I am? I just watch the films.
Radagast the Brown.
Oh, of course. Okay,
He
fair
is
enough.
he is at one with nature. He pops up near the start.
Yeah, of course.
He's irrelevant.
That's why I forgot him.
Unlike Radagast 67, who's very relevant because he's one of our 8 multi-table tournament finalists.
Ooh, very true. Ooh, nice link. Baxter's gone all in with a pair of kings. But Michelle seems to like her chances as well with King Queen suited.
Well, I'm afraid that's a mistake by Michelle. She's called because she can afford to, she thinks, 11,000 out of 50-odd thousand stack. And if she gets it right, she knocks Baxter out, which is attractive. But the bottom line is, it's actually a quarter of her stack, and you don't want to be throwing that size bet around without good reason. And King Queen is okay, but it's not really good enough to call with, and she's not going to be ahead by much if she is ahead, so I didn't like that play.
Split pot there, which is quite good for Radagast, because otherwise he'd have been out of this tournament.
Yeah, the blinds are a real threat to him. You'll see him move all in again here, I think. How are we doing on the emails, Cara?
I think we've got quite a few, but we could use some more. Some nice, pertinent and relevant questions about poker. Something very specific so that Nick knows exactly what to answer. It doesn't ramble on for 10 minutes.
Oh.
Although I like it when you do that, because it's very informative.
Thanks, Cara.
I mean that.
I know you mean it. It's very sweet of you. And Radagast has gone.
Oh, goodbye to Radagast. You go home.
He goes early in our story, much as he did in Lord of the Rings. Perhaps name yourself Gandalf next time. He was there till the end and won, didn't he?
That's true.
So,
that's true. Don't ruin it for
so
people
you
who
like
haven't
Lord
seen
of the
it.
Rings, is that what you're saying?
God, yeah, I love Lord of the
Cool.
Rings.
Cool.
I was a big fan of the books. I loved them.
Me too.
I thought the films were good, though. I thought they did a really good... What?
Well, they were awesome.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to disagree with me
No.
there. Because usually it just never lives up. It never lives up to the
they-
beauty of a book you read in your childhood, especially. And I just thought the Lord of the Rings films were wonderful.
They did an amazing job.
They really did. Can you imagine how amazing it would have been to work on the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Doing anything
I know
from...
somebody who did.
Really? To be able to say that, like, forever, that's a huge chunk of history, I think. As a film buff, I suppose, it means more, but...
Absolutely.
Doing anything, even being a runner, getting the tea for everyone, I just think it would have been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. My friend was an animator.
Wow.
Did the battle sequence for Return of the King.
That's wonderful.
Pretty cool.
That is very cool. Can you imagine having that on your show reel?
I'm sure a lot of viewers were the same. A lot of viewers may think not, but a lot of viewers are the same in that for 3 Christmases, just the best Christmas present. I went with my family each year. We all loved it.
Yeah.
And
The extended version on the DVD.
oh yes, little hole in our lives now.
I agree. Well, maybe I suppose they can't really go back and do the whole,
Well, they can do The Hobbit, and they need to
I
do The Hobbit
suppose.
before Ian McKellen gets too old and doesn't want to do it, because he is
Yeah.
Gandalf. And
there's just no going anywhere else for Gandalf.
no going anywhere else. He
He is Gandalf.
was lovely. Everybody's favourite grandfather.
Oh, so tall, so thin, such a white beard.
So massively powerful.
Yes.
So good at spells.
Everyone's grandfather, really.
Yeah.
Well, Radagast, going back to the origin of this what would you call it? Our little diversion, anyways. Went home with $70.
It's not bad for $10.
It's not bad for $10.
What could he have won? What's first place?
Oh, first place again is, I believe, $800 and something.
Wow.
$837 or some such thing.
That's a lot of money for a $10 buy-in these guys are competing for. I hope you're enjoying the multi-table at home, guys. This is for some serious money, especially when all these people have only paid $10 to enter. Multi-table tournaments are where you can get really big rewards in poker, no question, and you may have to go several tournaments before you win one, but when you hit, it's a great feeling. And one of these players is going to have that feeling, and we're going to see it happen. Baxter calls with a pair of 4s, and is actually slightly ahead. Cojones, Ace, King, or that. Counterfeiting, quite interesting if you're new to the game. Baxter was ahead with 4s and 5s, but then the 8s paired the board again, and it's the best 5-card hand that counts. So Baxter's hand was a pair of 4s and a pair of 5s, but then became a pair of 5s and a pair of 8s, because that's what was on the board, with a 4 as his side card. Actually, I think it might have been the other card on board as the side card, whereas Cojones had the ace as the side card. So he outran him at the river. Flop flush for Andrew. He's hitting the cards so far at this final table, and there's a lot of skill in poker, but no substitute for hitting great cards. A flop flush, Cara. Nice sight.
A flop flush. Queen high. Very nice. Not the nut flush.
No, but he'd be very unlucky if he would run into a better hand here.
Yeah, I would think so, definitely.
Well, that's not very subtle, is it? He's bet everything. Cojones needs to get away from this. He needs to smell the danger.
There's no way a pair of queens with an ace kicker is going to... Well, a pair of queens, a pair of sevens, but still, no. Well done, Cojones, for letting it go.
Yeah, no, it's a good pass. Tempting to call. He may think Andrew's bluffing. I think Andrew made it a really big bet to make it look like a bluff.
Oh, I see.
I think that's what he was doing.
Double bluff, huh?
A little bit of extra.
Yeah.
In it. Didn't work.
Didn't work. Often doesn't. Depends on who's doing it.
And who they're doing it to. Ace-5 for Baxter will need to stand up if he's going to stay with us. And it's a split pot. Both players had the ace-high. Straight, I think, at the end. Baxter in serious danger. Looks like he'll be the next one out, Cara, unless he can get lucky quickly.
Well, if he does go out 7th, he's going to take home just under $100.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's not bad. But I'm sure compared that to the just under $800 or the $767 you get for first place, well, really, you want to stay in at this point.
Absolutely you do.
Absolutely you do. Now, a lot of these
Andrew's
people...
got the aces again. Sorry to
How
cut
does
you
he
off.
do that? That's
wow.
all right.
It's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. Look at that. A pair of aces. Pocket rocket. Bullets. American Airlines. That's all I know.
That's
Best
all I
can
know.
do there. All right.
Yeah. So Baxter's last hurrah, and unfortunately for him, he's run into aces.
Yeah.
And Andrew is his nemesis. Took most of his chips off him with the aces and finishes him off with the aces.
That just
Poetry.
seems... Poetry in motion.
One of those bad poems that you don't want.
Right. Well, speaking of bad poems, I think someone actually sent us in one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, email from David. William Shakespeare played poker, and the poem says, "If you bluff me, do I not call? If you raise me, do I not fold? What light through yonder poker table breaks? 'Tis better to have gambled and lost than never to have gambled at all." Isn't that beautiful?
William Shakespeare played poker. He didn't write poems about it. did
No,
he?
I know.
And
And that's not
why.
really a poem anyways. It's just various lines taken from different sonnets and whatnot.
Very creative.
I like it.
Very creative.
Don't get me wrong, yeah. That seemed a nice little segue. Talking about the poetry of the game.
Oh, no, it's beautifully done.
Thank you.
Beautifully done.
Well done,
and it's definitely
David.
better to have gambled and lost than never gambled at all.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
What if you gambled and lost everything that you've got?
If you can comfortably afford it, we would not encourage you to wager
This is
money
true.
that will either have an adverse financial effect on you or jeopardise your personal financial position in any way, shape or form.
Well said, well said. And I heartily concur.
Yeah.
So all these people playing on the TV tables, like this multi-table tournament.
Yeah.
How do people get to play on these TV tables? We had a text in from someone called Sam who's been watching for a while and was wondering how to play poker on Poker Night Live.
I believe if he goes to the website, they have all the information there.
Well, there you go.
Poker Night Live.
I believe there is a link that says
.co.uk.
how to play on TV or something like that.
Yes.
So all of it will be there for you, Sam. Take a look on the website.
If you go and play on the TV, promise us that you'll email in and talk to us about the game you're playing.
Yes, promise us that, and good luck.
And good luck. You sound like you're going to give him something. Promise us that, and away you go.
Well, you know, I've got nothing to give. I
Don't
give
say
my
that.
all here
I know.
every single evening
I know,
that
I
I'm
feel
here.
that, yeah.
I'm giving everything I've got.
What I had, the viewer now has. 3 6s for Patter. I hear the patter of tiny chips in his direction.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm here all night, and there's nothing you can do. How much can he win? Well, he's got a little tickling bet. I wonder if Andrew will call that out of curiosity. Well, Andrew's going to raise, and Patter might put in another raise here. Just thinking about it.
3 sixes.
He just calls in the end, which is probably sensible in case he ran into a monster. There was a pretty obvious straight out there, so I think that's a good decision by Patter. He moves up to 80,000. 6 players left. There were 279, if you can imagine that. So these 6 have all done brilliantly.
Well done. They certainly have. It can be a hell of a... so much concentration is needed in a multi-table tournament. We were talking about this at the start of the show, about the difference between single and multi-tables, and that's the thing, the amount of time that it takes to get down to the final table. By the time you get there, you need to make sure that you're still fresh enough, focused enough, and that your concentration hasn't lapsed.
Well, you do, and it's the worst feeling in the world to play really well for 2 or 3 hours and get into the money or near the money and then make a mistake. That's a horrible feeling. So yeah, you need to keep focused. I said to Snowblind earlier when he emailed in, keep the goal in mind. Every time you make a bet or a raise or pass your cards in a multi-table tournament, think about that first prize. Think, is this raise the right thing to do, bearing in mind that it could cost me? And think of the first prize. If you go out, that's what you've given up. So let's say the first prize here is $800. If you're in this tournament and you make a raise, think, am I happy to lose $800 on this hand? Because that is the essence of what you're doing. So do try and keep your focus, like Kara says. And I don't think it's that hard, really.
No?
No.
Okay. I suppose it depends if you've been sat down for 4 hours and you don't have a laptop, so you're stuck at your computer. You've been drinking coffee all night, and you might need to pop off, you know, for a bit of a break.
Well, you can do that.
I suppose, but you want to make sure that you don't do it at the wrong time, because the computer will time you out.
Perhaps some form of potty system would be in order.
Nice.
I'm just offering suggestions.
I suppose, if you don't have flatmates, because they might object.
Whatever, it's there. There's money at stake, Kara. They can't object. I think if you can't keep your concentration and you really want to, then you're probably just not serious enough about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. As I've said before, playing poker for fun is one of the best things you can do with your time. It's a great game to play for a laugh.
Yeah.
But be clear about what you're doing. Are you playing for a laugh or are you playing to win money?
Yeah.
If you're playing to win money, you should look at it like anything else where you're trying to make money. You go about it seriously, and the players that take it seriously and keep their focus get the money.
This is
That's
true.
simple. So decide what you're doing and don't cheat yourself. That's the key.
Yeah, Cass and I were talking on Wednesday about what was the difference that makes a difference when you're winning?
And what is it?
Well, that's something we were asking the viewers to tell us. It was partly concentration and focus, being able to, you know, get rid of all the distractions that might be around you, trying to pull you off the task at hand.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Now, if you were watching this multi-table tournament and you've got questions about how to play, maybe you have a question about your own home game, or you want to tell us about a home game you're at right now, as we said, send us a text at 62211. And if there's anything that you need to know about the game, well, you're so lucky, because the expert, and it says email the expert, and the expert is here, is Nick Wealthall. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk will give you a hotline to Nick Wealthall's vast store of poker knowledge. And there's the website as well. That's where you can find out about how to play on the TV tables.
Yeah, do get in touch, guys. As we say so many times, it's your show, and you dictate what we talk about. Whatever you stick in your email, we will discuss. Within reason.
Within reason.
But yeah, anything that's bothering you about this game, anything you can't figure out, doesn't matter how basic the question or how long you've been playing, we're here to help you. And we also like your entertaining emails. It is Friday night. It's the start of the weekend.
That's right.
Are you playing poker this weekend? Are you playing poker right now, as Kara says? Get in touch.
Get in touch. Let us know.
Make our night.
Do. We're getting bored with each other's company. Give us something to talk about.
Getting.
Oh, ooh.
I'm not bored of your company, Kara. I mean, you
already said you were.
Joking, wasn't it? Obviously, it was a joke, or I would have said it. If you think about it.
Oh, now you're trying to say I'm stupid.
Ex-king for cojones. Little bit scared. And that'll be good enough. And Andrew needs to watch it. Andrew's getting a little bit lively. He's had some good results. He's played some hands all right. But he's verging on playing too many hands and pushing too hard. And he needs to be careful, Andrew, because you can just as easily, as we said at the top of the show, fritter those chips away as you got them. Big flop for Zeus. I would have raised with Zeus's hand. He's got a straight flush draw, so any club, any 9 or any ace makes his hand, and he's hit the 9. He's got the nuts right now, which is the straight.
Well done, Zeus.
Well done, Zeus. And Michelle is our short stack.
Yeah, was for a while actually the chip leader in the entire tournament.
Yeah.
And now she's gone down to the shortest stack. So as you can see, things do turn around very quickly.
Yeah, that's what makes these tournaments so much fun. Not if you're in that situation, of course.
That's true.
Fun to watch, I mean.
Ah, yes. Well, the blinds are at 3,000 and 6,000, so, I mean, that's a pretty quick turnaround situation for someone like Michelle, whose stack is at about 21,000.
Yeah, and she should have contemplated putting all her chips in right there.
Time to make her move, you think?
I think so. I mean, she didn't have a particularly good hand. She had king 9.
But?
Maybe not, actually, because Cojones had limped in. Maybe I'll take that back. I would like to take that back.
All right, then. Consider it taken back.
I thought Cojones was the big blind. Basically, she wants to, in one of the next 2 hands, she wants to put all her chips in. Because if she takes the blinds again, you take 9,000 off that 21,000. And she's down to 12, 13,000. And that is not an amount that's going to scare anyone. She's guaranteed to get called. With the 21,000 in her hand, oh, look at that. Set over set, my goodness. I'm chuntering away, and we have a big hand in the background. 3 5s for Andrew beats 3 4s for Pater.
Wow.
Bad luck, Pater. That was a horrible spot. And it's catapulted Andrew to our chip lead and crippled Pater.
Oh, 1,900 chips is going to be it's a long way to come back from that.
It really is.
If you can.
That would be one of the greatest stories of this or any other
It would.
generation.
Ooh, whole generation.
Yeah. Telling me.
Wow.
Sit tight, Carrie. You could be here for it. Poker history.
I'd be very excited about that. I feel I'm here for poker history anyways. Every single night we're on together.
No 2 ways about it.
No 2 ways about it.
Poker TV history. So Andrew is now our big chip leader after that fantastic situation for him. 3 of a kind against Pater's less good 3 of a kind. A nice place to be. Now let's see if he can convert it, because last time he had the chip lead, he frittered his chips a bit. He played a few too many hands, in my opinion. And easily done. I think Andrew suffers from FPS.
Suffers from what?
FPS.
Do tell me, what is FPS? Focusing...
Thank you for asking, Karen. It's fancy play syndrome.
Ooh, fancy play syndrome.
Yes. That's not, I didn't make that up.
Did you not?
Somebody else made that up.
Okay.
I think it was Slansky, I think. But fancy play syndrome is where it's usually among somebody that's been playing for between 3 months and 2 years.
Right.
And they've got the basics, and they know the game, and then they
start to get a bit fancy.
They
start to learn more.
Well, they start to learn all the different things you can do, and that's when it's really fun. Like different bluffs you can do, different moves you can make,
right.
And they start to overcomplicate the game is what they do. And you kind of go through, if this is sort of number of complicated fancy moves you make,
right.
You'd start off here, where you played a really straightforward manage, you don't know any better, and then you go like this, and Andrew's here somewhere in the fancy play zone, and then he will drop off down to there, whereas an expert player will probably be about here.
Right.
Which is, you occasionally make a very fancy play.
Right.
You occasionally make a grandstand play, a big bluff, a big steal or whatever, or you might make occasional smaller ones. but you don't make as many bluffs as people outside poker would think.
Right.
There are a few good tournament players who their style is very aggressive and they make a lot of bluffs, but most top-level players only make a few, and it's to throw their opponents off balance.
Right.
But very often in poker, the straightforward plan of attack gets the money. Bet your good hands, throw away your bad hands, you're not far away from doing it. Andrew at the moment can obviously play a little bit, he's doing very well, he may even win the tournament, but he's playing a few too many hands and he's making a few too many clever moves when he doesn't need to make them.
Which is why his chip stack is going up and then down and then up and then down.
Yes, exactly that. So it's interesting, and maybe have a think about your game, you might be doing that too.
Very good point, nice
FPS.
tip. FPS, watch out for
Makes
it.
your right arm do that, it's fatal.
Oh, wow, is that what the F stands for?
Let's move on.
Fancy, fatal, yeah, whatever, all right.
Arm problems.
Yeah, okay, well let's see if we can see any more fancy moves in the game.
Yes.
Well, Zeus is about to go out, I would think. He's on the button there, but he's only got, or he's just gone off the button, 249 chips. Not a lot.
Name yourself after the king of the gods, or whatever he was. Don't look quite so immortal now, do
Not
you?
so high and mighty with the thunderbolts.
There you go. Well, Michelle gambled there with her remaining chips. Good for her. She took the pot and will survive. Zeus desperately hoping she'd lose, of course. That would bump him up a place. And he folds. He's just hoping that somebody knocks somebody else out and he can get up that prize ladder. But it looks like he's going to be our 5th place finisher, Kara.
That's true.
Tell him what he'll win.
If he wins in 5th place, he'll go home with $167.
And a hamper.
No, he doesn't get the hamper.
No.
I think we ate all the stuff in the hamper anyways. Yeah. It was a nice picnic. Right.
This is it for Zeus, I'm afraid.
I think it is.
He used to win this and then about 18 more pots and then he's, then he's all right. Well, he could win it. He's got the best hand, look.
Well, he might do. Look at that. So he had to go all in because he's on one of the blinds. Now, can you explain to people out there as beginners, because he doesn't have enough to cover the blinds?
Yes.
What's the situation there?
Well, he's won, so he's alive.
Well, he's still alive.
Yeah, the rule is you can't be bet out of the hand, okay? So all of those films you see where the baddie goes, and I raise you... My horse, and you have to bet your ranch and a night with your daughter and all that. Or when Ian Beale bet the chip shop in EastEnders. That can't happen in a casino, in a regulated game, online or in the casino. So you're only liable for what you've got on the table. So Zeus is only liable for 747 chips, but he can only win that amount from his opponents.
But every single opponent he could win that from.
That's in the hand, yeah, absolutely. And we're going to say goodbye to him, I'm afraid. And he leaves us in 5th place with that $167.
Yeah.
Well played, Zeus. He beat 270 odd players, which is great.
Exactly. You've got to remember that is the point there.
All these players are winners. That's true.
Yes, I know.
And beautiful.
I know.
And now Michelle's all in and hits the ace. So we'll be sticking around unless she's very unlucky. Definitely sticking around now. Up to 50,000. Well done, Michelle. Say it.
Well done.
No.
Oh, you go, girl.
There you go. Love it.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Oh, yes, what you can win. So, yeah, so you can only win what you've got in front of you.
Yeah.
Off every player.
Yeah.
Fair enough, right? Because they can't bet you out of the hand.
True.
So you can win. So Zeus had sort of 700 chips. Everyone that goes into the pot, Zeus can win 700 of their chips, and they can win Zeus's 700 chips. Those chips are put in the main pot, which is closed off, and then the other players can continue to bet with their remaining chips in what's called a side pot.
Okay.
And only those players will contest that.
Yeah.
So if 3 players went to the showdown, the 2 players with more money in the side pot would compare hands first, and the best hand out of those 2 would win the side pot, and then Zeus's hand would be involved in the competition for the main pot.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Of course, you don't have to worry about that online or in a dealt casino because the dealer, virtual or real, will do it all for you.
You just play the cards in front of you and hope for the best.
Yes.
Yes.
And visualise success. 4 players left. Very exciting. Getting down to the serious money.
Absolutely. Whoever goes out next goes home with $223. So we really are starting to jump up in the prize fund here. So just to give you a rundown on this, fourth place gets $223. Third, $320, so up $100 there. Second place goes home with $488, and first prize is $767. Not to be sneezed at.
No, just fantastic for a $10 buy-in. The thing is, Kerry, you have to remember that when I started poker...
you started poker?
Yes.
That's amazing,
It's done
Nick.
really well for me.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I get 1p for every hand that's ever played.
Goodness gracious, I wish I'd started poker.
You want to know me better now,
What a great
don't you?
idea. And you didn't buy me dinner or anything.
Well, you got to learn to pay your way in the world, love. Right. When I started poker, there was none of this internet stuff. And a tournament with 279 players in would have been the biggest tournament on the planet.
Gotcha.
Extraordinarily. Because
Really?
the World Series of Poker, when I started, was about 200 players.
Seriously? How many are there now?
Seriously, you can't conceive of that. 'Cause
No, it's
you come from a
huge now.
different era.
Yes, I'm much younger than you.
Very much so. A couple of weeks, isn't it? So it's still, because I spent years and because I learned, because how you learn is how you become conditioned, it still blows me away that for a $10 buy-in, first prize in tonight's tournament is $800.
That is a
Of course,
big return.
that's perfectly normal on the internet, and if you've only ever played on the internet, if you're part of the internet generation, as Michelle goes all in and survives again, she's
Phew.
hanging on.
Buy a thread, buy a thread. You go, girl.
Cool. I think that's helping her.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, every time you point at me, I'll do that. Well, not every time.
When you know when to do it, it's when Michelle does a winner.
Ah, yes. When Michelle does a winner, I'll say that.
But yeah, the internet is great because the tournaments are so big and the prizes are so big for your initial investment.
True. Funny old interweb.
Funny. Aces for Andrew. And he'll take down his first pot for a little while, actually. Cajonas has taken the chip lead, but this could still go to any of these four players. Michelle's the short stack, but she doesn't have to panic, really. Blinds at 3 and 6,000. She'll need to accumulate chips. She's not comfortable, but at the same time, she's not in trouble. Curious limp on the button from Andrew. I don't understand why he didn't raise there.
Well, now we're getting to the part of the tournament, like we said, in our $50 tournament, where there are fewer players in each hand. Therefore, your starting standards can relax a bit. However, you're still not going to want to go all in with a weak starting hand. All of these things to remember. And they've been playing against each other now for quite a while, whether or not they started on the same table at the beginning of the tournament.
Very good point, Cara. This is...
Well, thank you.
I interrupted you, I'm aware of that.
That's all right. If you wanted to elaborate on that,
and what
do
is the
feel free.
implication of that? That's what I thought you were going to say.
Well, it was.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I was going to say, now that they've played together for such a long time, that they know each other's styles a bit better. They've been hopefully watching how their opponents are playing, and therefore will be able to pick up when there's some crazy bluffing going on, or whether they need to be tight with someone or aggressive with someone else, or that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Very important point. Big hand for Michelle. 3 aces.
Massive hand for Michelle. Well done, but El Poco is probably thinking he's quids in with a pair of aces.
Well, this is a fantastic situation for Michelle. She's going to double up.
Ooh.
She's going to double up unless she gets very unlucky. Oh, no 10. She doesn't want to see a 10. She's all right.
Phew.
Well, nice to flop the 3 aces. Even nicer when somebody goes all in front of you.
Too right. You go, girl.
Hey.
Hey.
Unprompted.
Unprompted. I got that one on my own.
The blinds have gone up, and Michelle's chip stack's gone up.
So the blinds aren't actually doubling, are they? Because it was 3,000, 6,000.
No, this is different to the single table tournament. They go up more slowly. A lot more chance for the players to play.
There's more play in each hand.
There is.
Gotcha.
Well, Andrew's check raised. This is what I was talking about. He's check raised with middle pair, and he doesn't have to. And now he's called. Oh dear.
Oh dear. If you look at that, Andrew was by far the chip leader, and Michelle had the shortest stack, and now it's just flipped straight around.
Say it, quick.
You go, girl!
Exactly. You go, girl. Well played, Michelle. She's made a big comeback from 21,000 chips to 200,000. Pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
That's what's great about No Limit Hold'em. You're never out of it. You can turn your whole tournament around in a couple of hands, and she's done just that.
Yeah.
And Andrew there made the check raise with the middle pair. Now, it's not the worst play in the world because at least it's aggressive, and he's putting the decision on the other player.
Yeah.
It is a little bit dodgy because Michelle hasn't bluffed that much, so perhaps not exactly the best play. But then once Michelle has raised him again, he should throw his cards away. And he called for a big portion of his stack, and that was a mistake, I'm afraid. No defence for that. See, this is the other problem. It's like infidelity, fancy play syndrome.
Is it?
Which is when you start cheating, you immediately think your partner's cheating.
Ah.
Because that's the way the mind works.
Yep.
Well, it's like being drunk. If you're drunk, you think everyone else is as drunk as you. When you start doing fancy play syndrome,
you start seeing fancy plays everywhere.
You start seeing fancy plays
whether
everywhere.
they're there or not.
You've nailed it. That's
Thank
exactly what happens. And so Andrew will see bluffs that aren't there because that's how he plays. So I think that must be what was happening there. He thought that he was being bluffed, and he wasn't.
Surprise, surprise. No, he wasn't.
And Michelle owns this tournament. 200,000 chips.
Oh, well done, Michelle. It's really good to see someone, at least with a girl's name, doing so well.
Michelle, are you a lady? When you've won this,
do let us know if you're a lady.
poker@pokernightllive.co.uk. Let us know.
Excellent, excellent. I'm rooting for you, Michelle. Get in there.
And Andrew, who was our chip leader for so long, and I tried to warn him. We tried to give him the advice.
If he
I
wasn't
tried to tell him to
listening.
calm down.
What are you going to do if he's not listening? Really? You can only say it so many times.
Well, Michelle has to call here. She had to call. Andrew's actually made a full house.
Oh,
Which he needed.
he certainly did.
Michelle, 10-7. You might be sitting at home thinking that's a terrible hand. Well, it only cost her 6,000 more, which is about 3-1 from the pot. And she had the chance to knock a player out, which is massive at this stage because there's only 4 of them.
That's true, and the amounts between the prize places is quite large now. So to knock one person out is really
a big
definitely
deal.
worth it. Yeah. But Andrew and El Poco are definitely both in a bit of trouble here, especially Andrew. Only 21,000 there, and the big blind is 8,000, so he's got like 3 times the big blind, which is not the kind of position you're going to want to be in. He's going to need to make a move fairly soon, but not with that starting hand.
No, sir.
And that's not a great one either for Andrew, I'm afraid.
No, I think I'd.
Would you have done that
well,
one?
I don't know.
It's difficult,
It's
'cause he's
difficult.
just-
He might have been tempted.
Jack 2 suited.
It's not great, is it?
It's not a beautiful hand,
He
but I
can't-
suppose it's better than nothing.
Yeah, he can't do anything now though because El Poco's come into the pot. Well, that's a mistake because El Poco will definitely call. It's only 9,000 more. He doesn't have enough chips, and Jack 2 is going to be behind. Oh, he's hit his flush.
Oh, well done.
Well done.
What?
Yeah.
Sound terribly British. Ah, well
No,
done.
it's lovely. It's just I pity El Poco.
I know.
He was very unfortunate. Had by far the best hand, pair of 6s against Jack 2.
Well, we're getting down to the crunch now.
Enjoying it.
The chips are flying all
Good,
over the
isn't it?
place. I
Very
tell you.
exciting. Every hand.
Counts.
There's action in every hand, and you know the tournament can change in a heartbeat here.
Yeah, I like that about the multi-table tournament and the final table.
It's great. It has. It's definitely improved Poker Night Live, no question. Cojones has flopped a straight here, and Andrew could get himself into trouble. Cojones has the absolute nut hand, the best possible hand, and Andrew needs to not be fancy playing. In fact, he needs to throw us away. He's only got middle pair.
Oof.
Oh, what's he doing?
Oh, I think he's panicking.
I think he's out.
Yeah, he did. He
Oh, he
panicked.
passed. Well, he passed. And not much point in passing with
No.
7,000 chips left, I'm afraid.
Ouch.
All over for Andrew, and you know, I don't want to get on Andrew's back too much because he's done extremely well. If he does go out next, he's gone out in 4th out of 270 odd players.
But that is nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, he's done really well.
He has done really well.
So there you go. So well done, Andrew. If you do go out, we'll come back and take a look at this again after the break, Because it is quite an exciting...
it's very exciting.
Exciting table.
Very exciting. I don't want to get on Andrew's back because he has played well to get fourth. And also, he's got some good poker instincts. He's aggressive and he's trying to take pots. But I've seen it before, and I did it myself when I was at a different stage of learning. He's just playing too many hands and trying to be too clever and overthinking the game. Remember, simple poker gets the results 90% of the time. Got a good hand, invest your money. Got a bad hand, get away from it. That's the way to go most of the time.
Yeah, there's something to be said for playing consistently.
Yeah.
And consistency is very important in poker, so there you go. We're going to be back after the break for the final hour of Poker Night Live, so make sure that you stay tuned, because we'll be right back.
Bye.
Hello and welcome back to the final hour of Poker Night Live.
Final hour.
It is, and we are in the middle of the final table of our multi-table tournament. It's very exciting. I don't want to waste any time, so we're going to get to your emails in a bit, but right now, let's go straight to the game.
Kara.
Yes.
You look foxy in my glasses.
Thanks.
We've just lost Andrew, as predicted. He's in fourth place. Well done, Andrew. Despite all the bad things I said, as I said before the break, he's still done very well. And I think he's got the makings of a really good poker player. Because
absolutely.
If you're going to have a fault at this game, it's so much better to be too aggressive than too passive.
Yeah, and considering that was his fault, he still went from 279 players to being the 5th player out of this tournament. And he went home with he was fourth, pardon me, he was fourth, which meant he went home with $223. So that is a good result.
If you've been watching, Andrew, do send us an email, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Tell us what you think about what I've been saying. Tell me if you disagree violently. More than happy to have a chat about it. I'm interested to know what you thought of how you played that final table. Well, we've got two big stacks, Michelle and Cojones, and El Poco, who is a little bit lower, but still competitive. And as you can see, if you just get into grips with this no-limit hold'em jazz, if El Poco had a hand where he went all in and doubled through, he could get to 120,000 in one hand, and he would suddenly be right up there. So it may look like he's in trouble, and to a certain extent he is vulnerable, but it can change so quickly.
It really, really can. So you can't get complacent at this level. That's certainly what we're saying. Don't get complacent. Play steady, solid poker, just like Nick was giving advice to Andrew before the break. Nice, steady, solid poker.
Steady, solid poker, but also, this is why poker's difficult. At this stage of the game, you also need to have a bit of flair about you as well. If Andrew was still here, he would probably prosper at this point because with only 3 players, there are only 2 hands out there that you're competing against to win the pot. So that's not much competition. So you can afford to bet more, be aggressive.
Odds are that the hands that are out there are not going to be the top hands that you could possibly get.
That's right. Without being overly simplistic, but just to round the point home, if you deal out 10 hands and then you deal out 3 hands, what are the chances of a strong hand being out there in both piles of cards? Well, it's pretty obvious. The 3-handed pile is going to be a much weaker set of cards because it's statistically likely. And that means that, as Kara says, your competition when there's only 2 hands out against you, much less. And so it's about aggression, but it's also about controlled aggression. The same rules still apply. Don't get addicted to raising too much, and particularly if you come up against resistance. And what I mean by that is if a player calls one of your bets or raises one of your bets, he probably has saying, well, look at this, big hand. Michelle has flopped 3 9s, which is a big flop, but El Poco's flopped the nut flush draw. Looking for a club, Michelle looking to milk chips out of El Poco. Probably betting, it's only like 16,000 here would be a nice bet. Oh no, wouldn't it be too low? Excuse me. She's bet the pot 40,000, sorry about 16,000. She would be looking to bet probably 25,000, 30,000 there. El Poco decides not to call with the flush draw. Good pass.
Good pass.
Pair of 9s for Cojones.
Now that's a good starting hand at this stage.
Very much so. Uncontested.
And he takes it down.
Takes it down, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Right, there's a couple of kings on the board now and a queen, so everyone's going to be thinking that they've got a, Not a bad hand in front of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't want the queen, to be honest.
No?
No.
Not a fan of the queen.
No, that's still not a good hand, even three-handed. And remember, even though there's only 3 players, position is still really, really important. El Poco is still in the weakest position. And just because there are fewer players, don't ignore position, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Very important still. If you are acting last, you have a big edge. And it's true heads up as well. If you have the button when there's only 2 players left, heads up, then you have a big advantage.
Yeah, so use it. Every time you've got an advantage of any sort, the important thing is to make sure that you capitalize on it. Capitalize on the things that are in your favor. Try to reduce the things that aren't. Slow, steady wins the race, like the tortoise and the hare. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Flop flush draw for El Poco. Michelle limped on the button, which I don't really agree with.
Hmm.
El Poco makes the flush. Big hand at this stage, but the other players don't have anything. Well, Conus has got a pair of 8s. And El Poco missed a bet there. He could have bet on the turn. Bets on the end. Better to bet when players can still improve their hand as opposed to when all the cards are out and they can't, because they're less likely to call now. Conus thinks about it with a pair of 8s, throws it away. Michelle doesn't have anything, so shouldn't be putting any chips into this pot.
No.
I don't know what she's thinking about. She's making me nervous now.
I know, that's curious. If she had been going to make a big bluff, she's just lost the ability to do that by waiting so long anyways.
Yeah, maybe she was using a potty or something.
Maybe she was checking to make sure the potatoes don't burn.
Checking her emails, that kind of thing.
Nah, could have been. That's only, you know, $700 some really, so it's not that big a deal.
It's all right, isn't it?
That's
$10
not
to
bad.
enter.
Mm-hmm.
What a great tournament. 700 and
I know.
something dollars you can win.
Nearly 80 times your investment. That's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Right then, well, El Poco, while not leaping ahead in leaps and bounds, is certainly starting to build up his stack again.
When I used to play pre-internet, we used to look for 30 times your initial buy-in as a good return for first place. And on the internet, there are very few tournaments that are close to being that low. So.
And that was way back when they used to play for like gold pieces and silver doubloons and stuff.
That's right, yes. I'm 142 years old.
You look great.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I can still walk.
It's amazing.
Pretty incredible.
Bit of a limp.
It's not a limp.
You're strutting.
Something like
It's
that.
a hip-hop strut.
Something like that, yeah.
I like it. And El Poco, it continues to
come
increase
back.
the health of his stack.
Doing well, good for him. Still got every chance of winning this tournament. Blinds are up to 5 and 10,000.
Oof.
Yeah, that's serious because the first raise is 30,000. So El Poco, if he wants to raise a pot, is putting in almost half his stack.
Yeah.
Well, he's just doubled the raise, and Michelle's landed with a pair of kings.
King Kong.
King Kong, 2 ways to play. She could call and hope the ace doesn't come on the flop, or she could raise right here. She kind of hedges her bets, makes the minimum raise, or close to the minimum, up to 40,000. Conus calls. Conus doesn't know what he's getting into.
No, he's hoping to see an ace, but that is not something that you want to bet on getting. Only 4 aces in the deck, 52 cards, one's on the...
The other problem, Kara, is how does he know that Michelle doesn't have a hand with an ace in it?
True, very true.
You know, an ace on the flop might be his worst nightmare.
That's a good point.
So it's really not a good hand to call with because it's very hard to win. It's very hard to win the pot. He doesn't have position, and he doesn't have a hand which, unless he has a freak flop like ace-3 on the flop and he flops 2 pair, which is very unlikely, he doesn't have a hand which he's ever going to be able to play the flop with any confidence once Michelle's raised and indicated a strong hand. So not the hand to get involved with, I don't think.
Okay. Not a lot on the board at the moment either.
El Poco down to 50,000 and 5 and 10,000 blinds will be feeling the pressure.
Feeling that pinch. You know, he's going to have to make his move at some point. But is ace-9 the place to make it?
Yeah, no, that's fine. He's on the button. And these players have kind of accepted that 20,000 is the opening bet.
It's funny, because a table tends to find its own rhythm, doesn't it? So while that might not be a general bet at another table and another night for a multi-table tournament for the final table, at this one, the players have sort of decided a consensus has been reached.
Which is good for El Poco, because it means he can raise the pot and leave some chips behind despite the fact he's short stacked. Here he's got ace-king, the big blind. He's hoping Michelle plays, and she does. If
you were Michelle or Cajonas, would you not start making bigger raises in order to, to get rid of El Poco?
Different cases, really. Michelle's got enough chips that she can take El Poco on and not worry about it. Cajonas, if El Poco was to go all in on Cajonas, and Cajonas was to lose, he would be in really bad shape. So Cajonas is kind of in a difficult spot. Michelle, yeah, I'd be looking to put the pressure on, I think, if I was in Michelle's situation.
Yeah.
And she does right there with a good hand. Okay, Michelle's just going to make up the blind, and I think all these players are playing passively, you know? They all seem a little bit worried. They don't want to mess it up, having come this far, I guess.
I suppose so. Do you think Michelle really should be playing it quite so passively, though?
There's different ways to play when you're in front in the late stages. Oh, El Poco's got all in here, and with the straight draw and the flush draw, it's not a bad move at all, really. Any diamond or a 5 or a 10 will make his hand.
Right.
And also he's got the chance that Michelle will throw her cards away, and she does do that, so that is excellent aggressive play from El Poco.
Well done, and he's now up at over 100,000 chips. That's fantastic.
Well, what was he down to, 50,000?
Yeah, at one point, certainly.
But we said it can all change very quickly, and now he's in with a great chance of winning this tournament.
He's now in second place, in fact.
He is. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. You're impressed.
I am impressed. You go, Guy.
I'm... Nice.
It doesn't quite work the same, does it?
I'm impressed by how long we've been talking about poker.
I know.
There's some sort of record.
We really haven't sort of diverged
evening.
into... I know. Usually we've been talking about all kinds of things that are even non-poker related.
Really?
Well, yeah, you're usually here when we're doing a show together.
Oh, yeah.
Well, physically anyways. Yeah. Go, Michelle.
Yeah, she's looking like the winner of this tournament at the moment, but it can all change so quickly.
It's true, you just never know. That's what I like about it.
Well, and this is, if you're in this situation, this is how you need to think. Michelle's 250,000 chips, but if El Poco doubled through her, if El Poco went all in and Michelle called and El Poco won, El Poco would double up to 150,000 and Michelle would be down to 180,000, so they'd almost be equal.
We've got so many emails in from people, emails and texts. We do. We've got absolute stacks of them. So we are going to get to them.
After this tournament, we have to crack through them, aren't we?
Yeah, because I don't like missing out on any emails. I think it's kind of rude, to be honest. People are taking the time after we've appealed out to them to email us.
The guys know they're not guaranteed.
I know, but it's nice to try.
We do our best.
Yes, but this is far too exciting to leave. So we are going to stick with the multi-table tournament for the moment.
And who's your money on, Cara? Are you confident Michelle can do it?
I think Michelle is in with a shout.
She's definitely that. The other point as well is that, as you'll know by now, you've watched enough poker, and if the viewers out there that have tuned in several times will know, when we get down to heads up with only two players, it really is all to play for, and it's nice to have a chip lead heads up, it's an advantage, but it can so easily all go wrong. And when I'm at a final table, I only have one mission, and that mission is to reach the heads up. Because I know that it doesn't matter how many chips I get to the heads up with, even if I've only got a few chips left, I still have a great chance to win the tournament. Cojones has got kings, and...
it could be the saving of them.
I think Cojones will be going all in here, I think. Michelle will call, I'd have thought, because it's only another 30,000, leaves her with 200,000. She can't really afford to pass this, I don't think, and let him take it for nothing. Yeah, and she hits the ace.
Ooh, bad news for Cojones.
Yeah, not what you wanted to see. That's the advantage of a big stack. You can afford to take a slight chance.
Yeah.
And Cojones leaves in third place, unlucky to lose with the kings, but his chip stack was low compared to the others. What did he get for third? It must be all right.
Yeah, for third place, he goes home with $320, so that is pretty good.
And Michelle won, so...
Oh, you go, girl. Right, now we've got our first and second place, and it's a contest. It's a race to the finish. It's a battle of the titans. It's a clash of the top two.
Isn't it?
Sorry, I kind of fell down there at the end.
No, it was good. Yeah, and as I was just talking about, Michelle's got a good lead over El Poco. Michelle must be the favourite to win, but we've seen it before, and I'm sure we'll see it again. It can change very quickly. Michelle flops top pair and takes that one down. If El Poco was to double through here, he would be up to 170, 180,000 and 160,000. And Michelle will be down to 240,000, much more competitive. So it could change.
And they're playing for basically $279 here. That's the difference between first and second prize. Okay. So they're both guaranteed to go home with, well, just under $500. So it's really that extra $250 or so that they're fighting it out for.
Well played to both of them for getting this far. It's been a great final table. Very exciting.
Actually, it's been one of the most interesting I think I've seen.
Well, if you remember, way back when we were down to 6-7 players, Michelle had 21,000 chips and was the short stack.
That's true.
So she's done fantastically well. El Poco has been the short stack for a little while now and has been hanging on. And fair play to him, he's been aggressive when he's needed to be. He hasn't just let himself be blinded away. So they've both done extremely well, and they've both seen tough times, Kara.
They have done, and they've pulled through.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
It really is. If a single table tournament is a narrative, multi-table tournaments are epics. It's like the trilogy, the Lord of the Rings. It's like the...
I'm slightly aroused.
How are you then?
Well,
I do hope my parents aren't still watching.
I don't care. That doesn't change my level of excitement.
I'm excited
as well.
They
are still watching. Oh, look at this.
Ooh.
Look at this. Michelle's not going to be able to get away from this one. Both players flop two pair. Extremely rare. And El Poco is going to double through here, and this tournament is going to be more competitive all of a sudden. I don't think Michelle can get this.
Not unless she gets a 5 on the river. Which is not terribly likely. Come on.
See, Michelle thinks she's suckering in El Poco.
I know. You know. She's being suckered herself.
She is. Can't possibly get away from it. And there you go. And look how fast it's changed. We said it could happen, and it's happened, and suddenly it's extremely competitive.
It really is. That happened very quickly.
It happened in a hand, and Michelle would have been thinking, this is my tournament. I've won it. I flopped two pair. He must have a pair of kings or something.
She's got to be a little bit on the nervous side now.
Yeah, well, kind of unfortunate situation, but that's the benefit of having the big stack, is that you can afford to make a mistake. When you're the short stack, you can't afford to make well, not a mistake. You can't afford to lose a pot or have an unfortunate situation or whatever. Yeah. But as the big stack, she could afford to lose that one, and she's still ahead.
Yeah, play with focus. She'll be able to get it back, and she may still come out on top.
All about your focus. Straight draw for Michelle. Bottom pair for El Poco.
Poco means little, so he's the little one. Isn't it Poco? Paquito. Poco.
Sounds right.
I know Gordo is fat. It's the only one I always remember. because gordito was something that my Spanish teacher used to call me. Oh, little fat one. Nice, really.
Oh dear, can of worms there, I think.
I think it was a term of endearment.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it was.
You weren't poked at school, were you? And
I
people
was-
didn't go...
What, bowl full of jelly kind of thing?
Yeah. Did they do that, Cara?
Oh, can of worms. Oh, I could start to cry.
Oh dear. Well, Michelle's got the best hand here, and El Poco will probably throw his cards away. He does.
He does.
Michelle gets 2 or 3 on the bounce, back up over 250. Ace high is a strong hand, heads up. But El Poco won't get a chance to play it. Michelle doesn't want to go into this one.
What El Poco needs is a superb hand, with Michelle being able to get, you know, the second best hand that's possible. Just like we saw earlier with the kings on the board.
Absolutely, those are usually the decisive hands, heads up, where both players hit something. The exception to that is when you've got 2 very creative players who will enter pots and then just try and outplay each other in the knowledge that both of them probably don't have anything.
Right, and Michelle takes some more. Would you expect to see more or fewer flops at this stage in a tournament?
Fewer. You would
Fewer,
expect
certainly.
a lot of hands would be like that, an opening raise
Yeah.
and then a pass. These 2 aren't actually raising that much before the flop for a heads-up match. Heads-up matches are fascinating because there are no rules for how they will go. They are always down to the personalities and the playing styles of the 2 players and their temperament at the time. And you'll see some heads-up matches where every hand is a limp in. You see every flop because there are no pre-flop raises. And you see other heads-up matches where it's the exact opposite, where every hand one of the 2 players raises and you see very few flops. Here, this is a mixture between them both limping in and one of them throwing their cards away before the flops. We haven't seen too many pre-flop raises, really. Michelle has stayed reasonably aggressive despite that big pot that she lost.
That blip.
That blip. And El Poco seems to be kind of biding his time a little bit.
Waiting for the good cards. Which is good. Now that he's started to increase his stack, you don't want him going a bit crazy and thinking that he can just take it all down.
Yeah, well, he's done well to avoid doing that. And both players have recognised that the blinds actually are not... They're not small, but at the same time, for a heads-up match with the amount of chips they've got to play with, they can afford to play around for a bit. And we have seen quite a good length heads-up game.
It's nice, actually, as you've said, because it does provide a bit more play in each of the hands, especially heads up.
Yeah, well, it's my favourite form of poker.
Yeah.
Heads up. Some poker players don't like it. I personally love it. It's the most exciting, and it's where you can... We talked about fancy play syndrome before and doing too many fancy moves. Heads up, you can express yourself to the max.
Express yourself.
Pair of 10s for El Poco. El Poco decided to call the re-raise pre-flop, which is probably a mistake with 10-9, but has hit the flop, and now Michelle has a difficult decision. Is she being bluffed? She will be thinking...
Can I afford it?
Well, she can't afford to call. She should throw her cards away. It's frustrating because she lost the pot, but...
discipline. Well done.
Yeah, it had to be done. Good pass. And for the first time, El Poco takes the chip lead, Cara.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Now that is impressive. That really is impressive. To come from such a small amount of chips to being actual chip leader in heads up and the final table of a multi-table tournament.
He was
No matter
short
who
stacked when
wins.
we had 4 or 5 players, right?
Yeah, no matter who wins now, it's well done to both of them.
Michelle's moved in with the pair of kings, and that's not a bad bet because she's got the top pair, but she knows that it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what El Poco has. Any number of hands could have, cards could have hurt her there. So not the worst play in the world.
Now what's El Poco going to do with this? Pair of kings.
Well, he's just limped,
Yeah.
so he's slow playing. He's trying to sucker Michelle in.
There's just no way she can hold on to these cards, though. It's a shame. If she'd had something a bit better, he may have had a chance. Oh.
Well, she doesn't have to bet. He hasn't bet yet. And Susie does. She's gone. Look at this. We're very competitive. What a great match this has been. Titanic struggle.
I like that.
Ooh.
An epic battle.
Epic battle between the forces of good and evil.
Which is which?
We don't know.
Yet. Depends on who wins. Good always wins.
That's beautifully optimistic. Yeah.
Yep. You just wait to see who wins and then decide who was good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty
That
much.
sounds like when they used to duck witches in a pond.
Absolutely true.
See what the result is.
Retrospectively.
Then we'll decide.
Yep.
Brilliant. So, well, Poco, Michelle, if you don't want to be deemed basically evil, by Kara Scott.
I'm sorry, you brought it up first with your clash between good and evil.
I was just eulogising unnecessarily. I don't believe either of these people are good. I mean evil, sorry. Straight draw for Michelle. Straight in the muck for El Poco, I think. I was going to say straight in the fold then, which isn't really a sentence.
No, it's a group of sheep.
Is it?
Isn't it a fold? Yeah, a fold
Oh, really?
is, yeah.
Ooh.
A flock, a fold. A shepherd has a fold, yeah.
You're right.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you.
I have no clue.
That's my church background coming to the fore.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. I'm full of useless information of various sorts from a multi-faceted growing up.
You'd have a very interesting growing up. We talked about it last time, didn't we? You used to
Yeah.
get attacked by bears on a regular basis.
I never did.
Oh, something like that.
See,
You
I can't-
hunted bears.
I never did. See,
Oh.
don't make out that I'm saying these things because my parents might still be watching and they'll go, Gary, you were suburban, for God's sake. Which I wasn't.
You lived in the wild.
I did live in the wild.
Queen Jack versus Queen Toast. She did,
Come
by
on,
the way. We're
come
not
on.
joking.
No, it's true, I did.
Well, Michelle, tricky decision, facing a raise with Queen Jack, which is a marginal hand. She might call and see the flop. Having a think about it. And she decided to raise, which is a good play. Now, Poco could be in trouble here. Poco thinks he's slow playing the best hand, and actually Michelle has him in all sorts of trouble. Oh, well, Poco does go. Oh, he's hit the 10.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's filthy. That is filthy. Poco, go and have a shower. Oh, poor Michelle.
Oh, that's a big ouch.
Kara, that's the tournament right there.
That is pretty much. Well, it's not over yet.
It's not over yet, but Michelle had the tournament won. Only a 10 can save El Poco. There's only 3 of them in the pack.
Ouch. That is some lucky, lucky play.
Well, it's a fickle mistress, this game, and
It
I've
is.
just remembered why.
But it's not though that he doesn't deserve it though, because he has been playing very well. It's not like he's just been lucky on each of the hands. So
No, I'm not saying that at all. It's just a shame that the tournament will probably be decided
Yeah.
by a very
Ooh.
lucky break. And
and
Michelle, brave as you like.
Wow.
Still fighting. You go, lady.
feisty. She's feisty.
She's spunky.
She's got moxie.
Yes. Yes, she has.
She does. Oh no, Poco has 364,000 chips, which is slightly better than having a bit of moxie.
Absolutely. Well, Michelle's still alive, and as we've already seen in this tournament, she won't give up. She was the short stacked at the table for
That's right.
a long time when there were about 7 players.
Tenacious.
I do hope you're enjoying this at home, guys. This is really good stuff, and just shows the fickle nature of this game.
It's true. Fickle mistress poker is.
She really is. I've never yet brought her down at heel. I continue to try. Michelle fights back, 72,000.
Go for it, Michelle.
She hasn't given up.
Right, well they've both got clubs. It's a shame though. Could have been an interesting battle for the flush draw.
Asking you
Ooh.
will receive,
Ooh.
Kara. Don't know how you do that.
Well, it's a special knack.
Well, they both got the flush draw, and it depends. You would have thought El Poco's got position and he's got the chips. He can afford to be more aggressive than Michelle.
They're not being terribly aggressive.
Well, Michelle might be tempted to call this. I actually don't think she should. I think she should throw it away because, okay, well, she doesn't. I think that's a waste of 12,000 chips.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It's a tough call what she should have done there. And now she can't call. El Poco is aggressive, takes that one down. He was winning anyway, but he didn't know that. I shall hang you on my fingertips. And El Poco, to his credit, keeping the pressure on. Impressive stuff. He has played well, El Poco.
He certainly has.
I think that the critical, funnily enough, the critical hand he actually played badly. He actually should never have seen the flop and got himself into trouble because he was re-raised before the flop, but he only had Queen 10. Oh, here we go. Michelle had to do something, and...
and that's
it. That's it.
And that is it. Wow. See, that's a bit of a surprise ending for me. I really did think that Michelle was going to take that, the whole tournament.
Even when she was down to...
well, I kind of thought she might come back. I did. I had the faith.
What a great tournament.
It was a great tournament. Well done to both of you, because that was some fantastic play. One of my favourites, I think, ever, watching that multi-table.
We'd love to hear from both of you. poker@pokerlive.co.uk. We'd love to hear what you felt, and particularly how you felt on the critical hand.
Yeah.
El Poco, any guilt?
At all? Probably not.
I suspect about 3 seconds.
Yeah, and it's easily, I cannot remember the word, assuaged?
Lost.
Yes, lost by the amount of money that you won.
Yes, assuaged. Assuavied, I believe, is the correct pronunciation.
Good.
One of them ones, isn't it?
Yeah, in it.
I hope you guys really enjoyed that, and I also hope that you learned from it, because you saw a lot of heads-up play, a lot of short-handed play, and some really, really interesting stuff. Yeah, some interesting decisions on what to play and what not to play. I definitely learned something from that. Cool. And we now have a huge amount of emails and whatnot to get through, so people out there have their questions for the expert. The expert is here, Mr. Nick Wealthall. Hello. So let's get straight to the emails. Cool. Let's do it. This one's from Hoofy. Hoofy says, "Hi guys, great show. Thanks very much. Glad you commented on that horrible outdraw I suffered with Ace King against Ace Jack." And if you remember, that was from probably the first or second hour of the show. "Last night I suffered about 20 or 30 of these, always in hands where I dominated. For example, Ace King versus Ace 6, King Jack versus King 8, one split pot, and I lost the rest. Didn't win a single one. It was absolutely desperate. Dominating hands are just useless for me and have been for several months. In theory, it's such a good situation, but it just doesn't happen for me. I had the best cards pre-flop I think I've ever had yesterday and still ended up well down on the night. I keep putting my money in with the best hand. I just don't know what else to do. What should you do?" Hoofy, if you were sitting in my chair, what would you say to you? Because you already know the answer to this email. Poker can be the most frustrating game on the planet, apart from golf, which is a silly game. Poker can be so frustrating. If you have a run like you're having, it is a nightmare. But you know what I'm going to say already. You already know the answer. The answer is that you are doing all you can. The statistics are in your favour, the odds are in your favour, the maths are in your favour, and eventually it will turn around. It will turn around because it has to turn around. The frustration of poker is that no matter how good a player we are, the other guy always has a chance. I can't remember exactly, I think Ace King versus King Jack or something. You've got a great situation, you've got the best hand, but he still has roughly a 1 in 3 chance of winning, 1 in 4, sorry, 3 to 1 chance of winning that hand. And there are very few situations in poker, and there are no pre-flop situations where you are 100% to win the hand, so the guy can hit. Now, if that has been happening to you a lot, that's lousy. Excuse me. Looking for sympathy. That's how bad it is. It makes me sick. It is lousy if that keeps happening to you, but you have to plug away. The only mitigating factor I can give you is that if you're playing a lot of those situations pre-flop, then you're exposed to, I guess, pre-flop. But pre-flop, you're never as dominating as you'd like to be. For example, the situation you've given, Ace King versus King Jack, or something like that, where you're dominating one card and you've got the odd card, you're only about a 75% chance to win. That's a very rough figure. It varies a lot, but it's around that ballpark. So although you're in a good situation, it's not completely dominating. You actually will get more dominating situations after the flop, and you can also get players to put down cards, especially lower level players. You can get them to put down cards much more easily post-flop. So one thing to try, and I wouldn't try this lightly, maybe just experiment a little bit, is to play slightly more of a post-flop game and less of a pre-flop game. You might have a little bit more success with that. That's something I could suggest. But apart from that, you know you're a good player. You know, all of the experts when they watch your game on Poker Night Live say you're a good player. So you do have to stick with it. And if it's really frustrating you, then please take a break. Just take a break, because if you're frustrated when you sit down at the table, you'll have heard all of us say this, you can't play winning poker. Poker is a game of confidence, and also you need to have a positive energy when you play and a belief you're going to win. And if that's gone from you at the moment, Hoofy, take a break. This goes for any of you guys on a losing run that are struggling to deal with that losing run. If your mindset's the same, if you still feel confident, keep playing, because it'll turn around. But if not, take a break, go and do something else. It's the weekend, go out and have a beer. But do take a break from poker and don't be afraid to do that. Good luck.
Good advice.
Isn't it?
That's very good advice.
And all free.
That's amazing. You're so generous.
And so full of cold.
Oh, you poor thing.
No, I'm fine. But you can. I'm just worried that it sounds...
Well, you've got a very deep, husky voice at the moment. It's all right.
It's probably a good thing.
It's working. It's working.
Cool.
No, it's absolutely working for it. I like it.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, no worries.
Just boosting up the flagging confidence.
I'm trying. And I'm going to work you really hard at the moment as well, so I'm trying to keep your energy up.
That actually sounds quite
fun. There's quite a few emails
okay, so we need
to
do some at pace. Do we need to
no,
shorter answers?
Well, I'll give you a kick under the table if it needs a shorter answer.
Cool.
Okay, this one is from Germanicus. It says, hi guys, I've only been playing sit and go and multi-table tournaments so far, but last night I had my first go at a cash game on the TV, 25-cent, 50-cent table, just to see what it was like. I only put $20 down on the table and things went okay. However, after about an hour, I was down to $7.50. I know how you feel. I was then dealt King-Jack suited in the cutoff. Everyone before me folded, so I decided to go all in and try and steal the blinds. The button called and the blinds folded. The button showed pocket aces and hit his full house on the river. Ouch. I think this was probably the right thing to do in a tourney, but was this the right thing to do in a cash game? I thought if I just made a standard 3 or 4 times a big blind raise and they re-raised, I would be committed and would have to call anyways. Any comments are welcome, and great show as ever. What do you think, Nick?
I think you did the wrong thing, and I think you know it. No, I think you did the wrong thing. You got $7.50, and the big blind is 50 cents, or
yeah,
the big blind's 50 cents.
Yeah,
or was it 50 cents $1?
Sorry,
can you check, Kara? Sorry,
I'm checking. Sorry, 25, 50-cent table.
Okay, yeah, the big blind's 50 cents. So if what you said in the email is accurate, you've got 15 big blinds. 15 big blinds, and you put them all in. Too much. You don't need to do it. And you're wrong when you say you would have been committed. If you'd made it 3 times the big blind raise, you'd have had 12 big blinds left in your stack. If the guy comes over your top of you for your whole stack, you do not need to put in the 9 big blinds. That doesn't work. Especially if you've got King Jack, because if somebody re-raises, you're almost certainly dominated, so you're definitely not getting the right price. And you're right, might well have been the right move in a tourney. Even then, I think it's still a big bet for the blinds, but much more understandable in a tourney. In a cash game, there's no reason to do it, Germanicus. Sorry to be harsh, but it's the only way you'll learn. You could have just made a normal raise, and then you could have thrown away to a re-raise, which is what you should do with King Jack. So yeah, cash game, very different discipline. If you're not used to them, it will take you a while to adjust your game. You might turn out to be a great cash game player, but even the best cash game players in the world, if they started in tournaments, had a period of big adjustment, because you just need to play in a much more straightforward, disciplined way to be a good cash game player. Very different, but good luck with it. But yeah, I think he slightly overcooked things on that one.
Okay, harsh but fair. I like it.
Can you be harsh and fair?
I think you can, yeah.
Okay.
And I think you just were. Firm and stern, that's fine.
Stern.
Right,
I'm trying to help.
I know you're trying to help. That's what you're here for.
Oh, Drelda's email. I like Drelda's emails.
Oh, good. All right. Well, then
here
we go. Email from Drelda. Hi, Nick and Kara. On the email from the player who was worried about their small blind and button results, he was only looking at 5,000 hands, and I fear that this isn't nearly enough to draw any conclusions. And
Correct.
I think, Nick, you did say that that wasn't a huge sample to be looking at.
It's not a significant enough sample.
But we're beginning to see trends, as you were saying.
You might well.
Particularly in small stakes games where variance is going to be massive. To be honest, I don't think 5,000 hands is enough even to look at the sign of your total result with any confidence. For example, you could be a good winning player in these games and have a negative 5,000 hands. Given this, looking at one position is not going to mean very much. You're now looking at 500 hands only. It's still interesting to look at the results, of course, but you should do this knowing that a big negative result is only suggestive that there may be a problem, and then look at individual hands and see if you think you played them badly. Variance, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, good email from Drelda. Absolutely right on all counts. When I was learning live poker, we used to say, or I was taught, 2,000 hours of play before you could really deem your results to be significant, which breaks down live play about 20,000 hands. So 5,000 hands is not up there yet, and you could easily see misleading results. The thing to do is this poker tracker software and these hand analysis software will give you an idea of where your game's going. But as Drella rightly says, you need to be careful, because if you get the wrong conclusions from it, you must take the results that Poker Tracker or other tracking software is giving you and then compare it to actual instances of your play. So, if you'll forgive me, I don't remember the name of the guy who was losing money on the button, but you need to, if something like that comes up, you need to look at actual hands when you've played on the button and say, well, am I playing this right or wrong? Have a think about your general play. Am I making that mistake or not? So you can't just use cold analysis in abstract. You must put it together with instances of play and your general thinking about the game. But yeah, 20,000 hands is a minimum before you can start drawing conclusions.
Right, well, fair enough. So we didn't have a big enough sample there, and also you need to put it in context. That's fair?
That's absolutely on the money.
Excellent. Wonderful. I like that. All right. Got a kind of an interesting email from Paul in Sweden. Says it's not about poker strategy, it's more about live games in particular. Says, I wonder what happens if the dealer drops the deck when, let's say, he's about to deal the river card. So what happens if the dealer does drop the deck?
He's fired and
doesn't get a tip.
Loses his pension.
Ouch.
Now, if the dealer drops the deck, the cards are shuffled and he deals the river card. It's that simple. What else can I say? Had a lovely dinner earlier on. If he drops the deck and it touches any of the players' cards, I think their hand is killed as well. I can't be 100% certain on that, but I'm 90% certain on that. It's your responsibility to protect your cards at all times at the poker table when you play live. Something that people don't often understand when they play live for the first time. Once you've dealt their cards, they're yours. So, for example, if the dealer collects them by accident, then they're gone. So you should always keep either something on them or hands over them. If the dealer was to drop the deck and it was to go everywhere and that was to include your cards, your hand would be killed, which would be harsh. But that's the way it is. But yeah, I think all that would happen is that the cards would be picked up and shuffled. And if you saw any cards, you would have an advantage, I guess.
I guess
but everyone
so.
would see them.
True. And
yeah.
they would be shuffled, so you wouldn't really know where they were going to be coming
That's
to,
right.
although you would know that your opponent didn't have them in their
Yes.
whole cards.
Yes.
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 Yes. Which is why, as you were saying, people sometimes have a charm or some kind, or a chip or whatever they put on their cards.
And also they do that because they're stupid and they believe in luck.
Well, sometimes a bit of superstition's not a bad thing.
Yes, it's always a bad thing.
No, it's not. It can
It's
help
not.
you be more positive.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
I don't mind my opponents having little lucky charms, that's fine.
You laugh at them. You
No,
scoff
no.
in the face of their lucky charms.
No, I'm not nasty like that. I get their chips.
And then you laugh.
And then I laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Chan, have you heard of Johnny Chan?
Yes, I have heard of Johnny Chan.
2-time world champion, 10-time bracelet winner, has a lucky orange.
Really?
Yeah.
The same orange?
Yes, the same orange.
It's got to be a bit manky by
yeah,
now.
it's now this big. It's his lucky prune. No, he has a lucky orange, but it's a complete... Johnny Chan doesn't believe in luck at all. It's
So
a
it's just a
complete
ruse?
prop. Yeah, it's like a
So why does he have it
affectation.
then?
I don't know, it's like a little thing that people identify with. I don't know why he has it. But sometimes people have lucky charms. They have them for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes they believe they're lucky. Sometimes they're just things that remind them of their wife or whatever. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's sweet. Well, maybe with Johnny Chan, if he was using his lucky charm orange thing every time he was on like a really good flush draw or something, he started to rub it or whatever, then you might think, ooh, bit of a tell there.
I just wondered where you were going with that. That was brilliant. And then he wishes for stuff, and then he gets it. It's brilliant.
It's like rubbing the Buddha's belly, you know.
Okay, yeah.
But if you see someone doing that with their lucky charm, maybe, oh, just maybe, they're onto a draw. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, all right.
No, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Don't just humour me.
No, I understand what you're saying. If people
Yeah.
touch their lucky item,
Yeah.
I've been thrown out of card rooms for less. If they do that, then maybe they're hoping for a lucky card or something. I
There you
understand.
go. Let's move on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we have an email from Will. Will says, hi guys, Nick, I've noticed on my site that several players are multi-tabling with minimum buy-ins and only playing premium hands in the hope of doubling up. And if they crash out, well, okay, you see them 5 minutes later, same story. Can this be profitable? P.S. You are both lovely, and making Jam's bad play was only because he wanted to follow you home.
Great. Oh, well.
He's in Northern Ireland. I think we're safe.
I don't mind being followed home. It's fine. Take what you can get in this life. Well, what do you think, Will? Do you think that's a profitable strategy? Because it sounds like a whole heap of bunkum to me as I sit here with my snuffly nose at 2 o'clock on Saturday morning. It doesn't matter how many tables they play or how much money they put on those tables or what cards they play. The chances of winning with a certain pair of cards as opposed to another pair of cards are exactly the same. So it's like, I don't know, it's like these roulette systems where you only bet a certain amount on a certain number that's almost profitable. It doesn't matter. The odds are the same in every situation. I hope that's clear. They're splitting their money into small amounts and playing it on different tables. It doesn't matter. You can put all of your money on one table. You can split your money into 100 tables. The chances of each hand winning or losing are exactly the same. Now, you might change your rate of winning. It might happen faster or slower. If you play on 5 tables as opposed to 1, it'll happen faster. But it will still come down to your skill and ability at playing. That's what it will come down to. And it will come down to as to whether you have an edge in the game or not. So if that person that you're talking about has got an edge in all 5 games, then yes, it's profitable. If he doesn't have an edge in those 5 games, it's not profitable. Simple as that. There's no kind of magic system or way of manipulating your buys or anything like that that will help you. Being a better player is what will help you.
Mm-hmm. And you don't want to split your focus either too much. I mean, some people can play huge numbers of games and be all right with that, but
yes,
don't spread yourself too thin.
No, I mean that's a different question. It depends. Yeah, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. In fact, the only thing you want to spread too thin is Marmite.
Because it's a bit nasty.
Well, the thing about Marmite is, as we brought it up, it's one of the very few products which actually says on the product, don't use very much of this.
Ah.
I think creosote is another one. That's true.
Use sparingly.
Yeah, use sparingly. How many products say that, right?
True.
Because it's not in their interest. Marmite says use sparingly. You think of another one in the next 6 minutes. Email it in.
Send us an email.
What else is there?
Well, we could spread it on the toast for the toast rack, the whole thing.
Toasty.
See? And someone else has called me toast rack.
Oh,
There's
like
an email
that.
here from Dave. I do actually like that. Dave says, hi Toast Rack and Nick. Great show as always. Blinding Barnet, Nick. It is beautiful, isn't it? Lovely. By the way, Toast Rack, did the ambulance arrive in time for Casper the other night? Yeah, poor Casper. Seriously. He was so ill, and I was mercilessly taking the mickey out of him, and that was wrong of me, and I apologize profusely. But he's fine now, I'm sure. I did a bit.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well.
It has its own ecosystem. You can actually see life evolve in different bits of it. Sorry, carry on, sorry.
I do believe there's a chaffinch in there somewhere,
There's
right beside the sparrow.
Yeah, there's a little baby chaffinch.
Yeah,
he's
very
called
nice.
Alan, and I'm rearing him for the summer.
You're so sweet.
Wow.
Right. I am Street Maths on the Poker Night Live forum, and I played in my first televised MTT tonight.
Cool.
And came 17th. Well done. With a bit of luck, you will not have seen my horrible non-call on my King Jack. Obviously, I lost the plot by then. This has been one of the most enjoyable things I've done. That's excellent to know. And it brought me immense pleasure. I only started playing 4 months ago. Well done. What I'm most happy about is that from my original stack of 1,500 dwindled down to 440, and it always seemed being short stacks brings out the best in me. Had to go all in a couple of times, but recovered, got the bullets consecutively, so I had some luck too. I effectively went out when I folded and had the best hand, but will know for next time. So thanks to Poker Night Live for all your help and advice. Poker is a hobby which is paying for itself. Kindest regards. You know what? For 4 months doing poker and then playing in an MTT coming 17th, well done.
Yeah,
well done,
awesome.
Dave. That's great. That's absolutely fantastic.
And we love a success email. Love the
Too
stories,
right.
especially if we've been able to help you out. And if you're getting better at the game, that's fantastic. So well played. And let us know, and hopefully we'll see you on the TV tables again. And the final table, that's the goal for next time. Hit the final table. And also, great that when you're short stacked, it brings out the best in you. You've got to be a fighter if you're going to be a good poker player. You do have to have, the one thing that is non-negotiable to be a good poker player is this monkey here. Not a microphone, your heart. You've got to have heart You've got to never quit. You've got to always believe you're going to win, and you've got to play strong when you get short stacked. No question about that.
No question
so well
about
done,
that.
Dave.
Well done to Dave. You know what? I don't even think we're going to get through all the emails because people have been just absolutely gagging for information on poker tonight. So unfortunately, we've tried, but we'll do our best here.
Yeah.
Right. Email from David. Consensus.
Faster.
Yeah. Okay. Because faster. Yeah.
Faster.
Consensus seems to be that short-handed tables, say five-handed, no limit, are more profitable for good players, but very little is written about strategy. What general tactics do you suggest compared to full tables? Thanks very much.
Well, it's another sort of bizarre myth. How would they be more profitable? They would only be more profitable if the players on them were worse. It's that simple. If the players on a five-handed table are worse than the players on a 10-handed table, then it's more profitable. If they're not, it isn't. Otherwise, they're not more profitable. You may well win money quicker in terms of time because there's only 5 people, so you get dealt more hands. So if you've got the same win rate, you'll win your money quicker. And it may be that players play worse five-handed than they do 10-handed. That might be true, but it's not a function of the number of players. It's a function of the edge you have and the level of play. That's what's important. As to strategy and tactics, not too much has been written. Super System is quite good for short-handed play. Dan Harrington's book's got some on short-handed play. Watch Poker Night Live a lot because occasionally we'll show a short-handed game. I hope you've learned something from the tournament tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there was a lot of short-handed play. Not cash games, I understand that, but the principles are still the same. It's about controlled aggression, and it's also really, really about position. You must use position short-handed. A lot to say on the subject. Keep studying, keep watching Poker Night Live. You'll get some more in-depth stuff as we go on. Right,
more on your hair here.
It's a weird obsession, though.
It really is.
I'm having it cut on Monday. I'm on tomorrow night. You've got one more night of it, revel in it, and then it's all going.
I think it's fabulous.
Thanks.
I like it. The way it moves in the wind when there's no wind. That must be the sparrows. Anyway, email from Panaman Creel.
Yes.
What's the most money ever won on a game of poker, and how many people make a living from poker? Then he says, great show, keep up the good work, and what's the chance of seeing all of the Poker Night Live crew playing in the poker bowl? And if Nick is first out, he needs to shave off his hairdo. Cheers. Panaman Creel, soon to be seen on Poker Night Live.
Well, I look forward to seeing you on Poker Night Live, Panaman Creel, and I think it's your first email that I've heard, so thank you for joining in. We did all play in a poker bowl, all of the experts, and I finished second, and I was really annoyed. It was a bit of fun. I'm sure we'll do something like that again. As to the most money ever won in a game of poker, well, the last World Championship, $7.5 million for first prize. That's the most money won publicly. In private games, could be even more. Could be even more. We don't know because they're private. But yeah, there are games where millions change hands.
Yes, in dark back rooms and whatnot, all kinds of things happen.
Absolutely, so I'm told.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, I stay in well-lit areas.
Well done you.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you feel better, because I know that you've been feeling a bit rough.
I'm fine. I'm not one of these people that complains on air about being ill.
We'll not talk about who, yeah.
Bless him.
Well, I hope he's feeling better as well. And I hope all of you have learned lots tonight from the poker that you've been watching and the wonderful commentary as well from Nick Wealthall, who's on again tomorrow night.
I am, 10 o'clock.
Pro night.
Come back soon, won't you all? I've had a great time, Cara. It's been fun.
So have I. Thanks very much, and we'll all see you next time.
Bye-bye.